fantastic. This is GT Racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top here!
Oh my god! Oh. Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Series here on SimSpeed. We head to the Hockenheimring as our host for this final round of the season. My name is Daniel Yeaman, David Haynes alongside me once again here in the commentary box, and Jay Kennedy on production. And well, 2 endurance races for the AusPass guys here coming our way tonight, David. And well, Pass 2 championship might be more or less wrapped up, but the Pro-Am is certainly still yet to be decided tonight.
That's sort of where we're looking with regards to the championship and across sort of the 3 categories, isn't it? And it's a pretty interesting circuit to have to close it all out. Dare I say, controversially updated in the 2000s, but what it has given us is a great GP sports car kind of circuit here. Very quick through that first corner, then great overtaking opportunities, something that maybe the older, larger Hockenheimring missed a little bit. You've got that hairpin at the very far corner. It's very slow, it's very tight, and it gets fed into from a very high speed. I want to call it straight, but it's not the whole way around at the Parabolica there. And then you get some great swap back side-by-side racing through the second half of the lap at that Mercedes arena and the old style arena as well.
Very true there indeed. Let's have a quick look at the championship standings here in Pass 2, which we'll be covering in just a moment's time. Matthew Bowler, as you can see here, after joining the series at the Porsche Cup Wildcard round 3 back then, leads the championship by 258 points from Sebastian Flock in second. It's between those two as to who comes away tonight, the Pass 2 champion for season number 7. But then further on back, Matt Keane and Simon Zoma will be fighting it out over third place. Also add Brady Buchanan and even Jeffrey Wang into the mix there. So 4 drivers in contention for the final podium spot in the series here, David. And then further on back, well, the fight's on for P7 there between the Brake, Caprice and Panton. Harry Lawrence there, P10 might be an outside chance for that 7th place spot, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's sort of all eyes on Bowler, Flock and Keane, I would say, in this one for the Pass 2 championship. Really strong performances from Matthew Bowler, just needs to keep that up.
It does indeed. Qualifying has wrapped up here tonight for this event. So let's walk you through the grid here for 40 minutes of GT3 action from the Hockenheimring. And, well, no surprises there. Your championship leader, Matthew Bowler, puts himself on pole position and almost puts 2 tenths between himself. Actually does put more than 2 tenths, nearly 3 tenths, I should say, between himself and his nearest rival, Sebastian Flock, in P2 tonight. Hayden Veld, fairways back there in P3 in the number 53 BMW machine. Mercedes, very powerful here in Pass 2, it would seem. But yeah, BMW out of P3 for Veld. Simon Mazomo, who saw there fighting for third place in the championship, will start out of P4 tonight in his 551 Porsche. And then it's P5 for Tom Wilkinson. The 959 Lamborghini is sharing that third row with Tyson Hanma in the number 18 Ferrari. Then all Ferraris for 7th and 8th with Jeffrey Wang in the 26 ahead of Gustavo Cirillo in the number 11. Next of our Lamborghinis in the hands of Brady Buchanan in 9th place. We've got Matthew Keane alongside him to round out the top 10. And then it's a pretty Merc-dominated couple of spots here with Keane, then Angus Kelly and Hayden Jackson rounding out our top 12 here, David.
Yeah, so Jeffrey Wang maybe missing out on a good result that he would have deserved a week ago at Spa, and then Matt Keane a little deeper on the grid than I would have expected. But you look at Stuart Brown, Andrew Proctor as row number 7 there for our rolling GT start, and Thomas Leprec and Paul Longworth on row 8. And it's Matt Hardigan and Reese Ashmore for row number 9. And the last car with the qualifying time is Jake Buxton, Patrick Panton and John Gagliardi, Mercedes there with no qualifying time.
Panton on the grid, but missing Gagliardi, so we may just end up with 20 cars for your racing action this evening. So this should hopefully be a good one once again here tonight. And of course, this is the setup for the main event in the Pro-Am to come very, well, straight after this one, I should say. 60 minutes of racing for those guys once we conclude Pass 2 here. David, as they get the formation lap underway and roll ourselves towards the green.
Yep, 40 minutes of racing is going to put a bit of stress on the tyres. And, you know, you see Zomo up there on the second row, great qualifying for that Porsche. It's maybe being a car that struggles a little more with the pace and the speed over the longer runs. Meanwhile, you know, your Mercedes and your BMWs have had a bit stronger long race pace. That's something that they've got to focus more in this race than previous rounds of the championship, being it a 40-minute pit stop style race.
Yeah, these guys often familiar with 25-minute races, but we'll see how things go here. Pace car pulls on in. We wait for the green flag from iRacing to get this one underway. 80 km/h pacing speed requirements as they roll onto the front stretch. We get the green flag from iRacing. We get this race underway. So far, nice and clean off the start race, but it's going to be top 3 going into turn 1. Mizomo has to cover off the inside line as we go 2 by 2 through the first turn.
Track limits on the outside of that curb are a difficult thing in turn number 1, but everyone appears to have navigated it cleanly. Track really squeezes down before opening up again at the braking zone here, where you can get some passing done, and they are 3 wide in this part of the field, avoiding any chaos so far. Jeff Wang there losing 1 spot in the Ferrari, but this should be a place where the big horsepower top-line speed cars come into their own. We saw the Ferrari have that at Spa. Will it have it here at Hockenheimring?
See how we go. Pass 2 does not have the series balance of performance applied as we're on board with the 53 of Haydenveld back and forth on the bumper of Sebastian Flock. They're trying to pressure us up the inside at the hairpin. Goes Zomo on the inside of Tyson Hammer as it's been carnage further on back. Multiple cars getting involved in the incident involving Jake Buxton, Matt Hardigan. I believe we've got several cars still around here. Hayden Jackson still around, and it was Angus Kelly in the Mercedes. Bit of a dive bomb coming out. The replay from Virtual Racing School will tell all here, David.
I saw it happening. This one is pretty difficult to defend. Not that Mercedes, it was another Mercedes. It's going to appear in screen and then make it force them 4 wide and create an issue. Came from 4 or 5 car lengths back.
So BMW goes for a bit of send, but then the Mercedes number 10 of Jake Buxton on the inside there. The prime culprit, it seems. I believe the BMW is Andrew Proctor is back to live pitches. Someone throws it into Mobile 1 curve and has absolutely lost the rear. The answer is Angus Kelly, who unfortunately has been looking like he's had damage and trying to limp his car home and suffering as a result. Meanwhile, there's Stuart Brown in the 981 Porsche. Got hit up there at the Spitzkehr and brings it down the pit lane straight away to try and fix that car up a bit, I would suspect. So unfortunately, opening lap chaos here. These guys treating it a bit more like a sprint race than a bit of an enduro, it would seem, as we check back in with your lead 2 here. And as they run in on the road, they run in the championship. Bowler leading Flock, though. The gap here right on half a second as they make their way up to the hairpin for their second time in this race. Flock looking quite nice there on the entry, David, but I think just giving a little bit of a run off the turn for Bowler, although Bowler decides to wobble the car out of the corner. And Flock's going to go up the inside and take that one there at turn 7. Not something... Well, no, he'll maybe think... No, doesn't go for it there at Mercedes. We'll slot back into line. So, pass made there, which means that Flock can now get some points back on Bowler. But I can tell you this, that with the gap in the championship, that is, as it currently stands, 258 points in favour of Bowler. A perfect win for Flock, even with also bonus points for 0x, which will give him an extra 20 points. Would still require Bowler to finish no better than 14th place for the championship to change hands here tonight.
Yeah, you lay that out, and it's a bit of a low probability. Requires a lot of cogs to align there. Bowler, I'm sure, at this point, the last round of the championship, has that in his mind to play the championship game, as they say. Your top 10, not too spread out and not too shuffled from how they qualified, but from 11th on back is where everything kicked off on that hairpin turn number 1, lap number 1. So top 10, relatively steady. Everything behind has been thrown up in the air and around.
Yep, I believe another small connection issue for Thomas Leprake. We just Saw him blink on our timing screens for a second, but he's still out there and running. And yeah, you're not wrong, David. Apart from the top two who have somewhat broken away from the leaders. Indeed, just being advised, some updates as to why Matthew Bowler's car went for a bit of a wibble wobble out of the Spitzker, which we kind of missed on feed, but force feedback hardware issue for the number 12 of Matthew Bowler. So, well, that just adds a little bit of something to the discussion there. I didn't think we're going to be seeing any hardware issues tonight. Haven't seen any from Bowler so far this season, David, but it's struck here and now, and well, it's going to have to be something he's have to keep in mind of now for the rest of the evening, it seems. They are still pulling away, though, from third place, which is held by Vel, but we're checking in here with Tom Wilkinson, who's, for a moment there, applying pressure to Simon Mazzomo in fourth place, but now coming under a bit of pressure of his own from that trio of Ferraris led by Tyson Hanmer in the 18.
Yeah, again, a great qualifying performance from one of the few Porsche 911 GT3Rs that we got. Race pace, you know, got a Lambo, Ferrari, Lambo, Mercedes tucked in back there. Just trying to keep that critical 1 second to Veld in the BMW as well, because it is a really long run from turns 2, 3, and 4 down the curving back straight, I want to call it, the big braking zone. And again, this really looks like Wilkinson trying to set him up here.
Yeah, gap from Mazzomo to Veld is currently at 1.3 seconds. Gap behind to Wilkinson, 0.3 of a second, and then it's only 0.2 between Hanmer and Wilkinson. We're on board with number 18 drivers. They come down to the Spitzker, but no moves coming from any of these drivers yet. Bit of a half show from Wilkinson. Dissuades Hanmer from making a move, but he comes under a bit of pressure from Gustavo Cirillo there in the number 11 as they come off the hairpin this time, and they're close, not quite the exit Hanmer would have liked. He was up and over the sausage curb and the exit stuff there as they go side by side into Mercedes. Almost, not quite though, as they stay as they were, but they're bunched up nose to tail and having to really duke it out here. Different lines through multiple corners here, really mixing things up. But again, Mazzomo and Wilkinson, they're also keeping pretty close together here as they now come into the number 1 curve in this arena complex at the end of the lap. A little wide there from Wilkinson through turn 11, but looks to have not hurt him too much on this particular occasion.
Yeah, finding it tough to pass, even with a little difference of lines in places through that second sector of the lap. If you've got a little bit of understeer in your car, it'll really hurt you through these final 2 corners, because it just keeps on turning and keeps on turning. So don't expect anyone to change tyres. They are going to have to take on board quite a bit of fuel in this one. So the drivers who might just nurse their tyres a little bit right now, that it'll play well for them in the final 15 minutes or so.
It will indeed. It is something to definitely keep your eyes on for this evening as we check back in further on down. Unfortunately, these guys scrapping over 14th place. We've got Paul Longworth just at the top of the shot there in one of the Ferraris, followed by teammate Reese Ashmore, and then Hayden Jackson, one of our Mercedes drivers here tonight as they go through turns 2, 3, 4. The Einfahrt Parabolica this time.
Tough track to be Ferrari teammates, you know.
I think so.
Reese is faster than you.
Yes, my history there, unfortunately, or my knowledge of motorsports history, letting me down there for a second, unfortunately. Thank you for the reminder, though, of that one there as they all come off of the turn 6 hairpin and looking fairly calm and ordinary for the time being. So your top 2 still as they were, make their way through turn 12 here in the arena section. Veld unchallenged in P3, has nearly 2 seconds now. Mazzomo here in 4th, and then the train behind. And I'm also advised by Director Jay Kennedy that Mazzomo's pushing quite hard. Well, hard enough to the point where all of his laps are not valid lap times. They are all receiving off tracks at this stage of the race. So keep your eyes on Mazzomo here. Incident limit tonight for this race, 21 incident points before you pick up a drive-through penalty. So looking to burn a couple of them now. It would seem it does mean he also throws away.
Sorry, that hadn't been a particularly big problem most of the championship, but at Spa last round, we saw a couple of drivers pick up those penalties. So if you're getting 1 or 2 or easily 2 a lap at this point, that's not sustainable. You can't keep that up.
Yeah, we're seeing told and can see on our ends that estimated race length of around 24 laps. And if you've got 21x to play with, if you can go for about 1x per lap, you'll end up with about 3 to spare as into the hairpin that time there. All checked up behind Wilkinson, but still Hanna, Cirillo and Wang come out of the corner as they were. But Brady Buchanan with a run round the outside through turn 7 is going to get that job done. And back to the racing line before the Mercedes Arena turn 8 there. As now that breaks up the train of Ferraris. Let's have a look at that one there on the replay, thanks to Virtual Racing School, David.
Yeah, Wang and Cirillo definitely have a little bit of contact here, so Wang finds just a little bit of room, and then down the inside, just touches the rear of Cirillo just a tiny bit, but that's that tighter line compromised Jeffrey Wang off the corner. Buchanan very bold around the outside of that little kink, and easily done in the end. But from trying to bite off a little bit that he couldn't chew, it's cost a position to Jeffrey Wang. Wilkinson looks like he's diving in for a pretty early stop here. Well, I say pretty early, but just over 10 minutes is what we expect, honestly.
Yes, they will be running the same car setup as always here in AusPass. Fixed setup, limited fuel tank in these cars. And yeah, it looks like we're hitting that point here tonight as that now releases Tyson Hammer into P4. But Gustavo Cirillo looking to pressure here through turns 2, 3 and 4. And looks like he might have the better run. We'll see how things go. As Mazomo and Wilkinson off the pit lane, they both took a stop on that lap, and it's about 12 seconds each stationary as they get back up to speed here. And a slow run off the pit lane for Wilkinson in comparison to Mazomo. That's definitely a little worse than I was expecting, because they were quite close in the pit lane. Oh, Wilkinson's missed the point where he could get back on the speed. He's actually got stuck on the pit limiter, and I think I saw him hit his radio button at one point, so that would explain why he's lost a huge amount of time to Mazomo. Was about 1 second behind, now 5 seconds behind as they are on their outlaps here.
Should know which one the pit lane speed limit button off is, because it's the same button that turns it on. So obviously might have just been focusing on something else on the pit exit there, and it has cost a fair chunk of time. Good battle going on here, though. Do expect a lot of these guys to pit in, but Jeffrey Wang almost had a look at getting back around Brady Buchanan at the hairpin there. Got to take a tighter, slower line through the penultimate right-hander, and almost all of them do it to then come back to the pit entry lane underneath the ever-watchful eye of the world's largest bottle of motor oil.
That it is indeed, and look at that there. Everyone basically down on the lane from the race lead. So we'll see who comes off of the lane first. Should be Sebastian Flock in the 84 machine for the Evolution Racing team as they get ready to roll here. Clock's ticking up. 13.5 seconds for Flock in his car. About the same time for Matthew Bowler. They will return to the race lead. Hayden Veld's away, and he's actually quite close here. He's going to get the jump on, well, not quite on Matthew Bowler, but look how close he is. A superior pit lane run for the 53 BMW driver. Mazomo restores himself to P4 ahead of Tyson Hanma. Now, let's see what that's done to Tom Wilkinson in terms of pain. Answer is in behind Buchanan and Wang. Another big loser in that pit cycle. Gustavo Cirillo drops from P6, pardon me. P4, 5, no, sorry, it was P7 down to P10. So a lot of spots lost there for the number 11 machine in that cycle. One of the drivers who have quite a long pit transit time of 32 seconds, whereas most of these drivers are under 30 at this point.
One of the surprisingly challenging corners of this circuit, this layout, is the really quick right-hander that brings you in towards the old classic stadium section. Hayden Jackson's gone through there a little too quick, lost the rear and found the wall. He's back on pit lane for the second time. So the track is really wide and spacious and open in places, and then you sort of just narrows. Quick change of direction and off camber on the exit there can catch some out. Just like the track is really wide as you're braking in towards this hairpin, but then it all slows up and seems to narrow at the apex.
It does indeed. Fight here between Patrick Panton and Andrew Proctor. Sees these two having gone back and forth on this lap so far, with Proctor taking the spot of Panton for a moment there, but at the hairpin, Panton getting the place back, but that will compromise his run here through turn 10 a bit as they then make their way down to the Mobil 1 curve, but Proctor not close enough to capitalise, so they go back to the way they were at the start of the lap, it would seem. From here, his car off in the grass Oh dear, more trouble for Stuart Brown in the 981 Porsche. Small excursion there. He's yet to pit in this, well, yet to come into the pits again in this race, having given us a fast repair and short refuel. He'll come to the pits soon. Meanwhile, battle here at the back of the top 10. Tom Wilkinson under pressure from Matt Keane in the Mercedes now. But Wilkinson trying to close in on Jeffrey Wang, but going to be a pretty hard task with that Merc right on his rear bumper. But look at that there down the front, down this straight here, David. Actually losing time to the Lambo in a straight line, apparently.
Yeah, so it seems. The slipstream does get pretty powerful. Sometimes it just sort of ends up with where does the gearing sit for that kind of straight, you know. Slightly different gear ratios across all the cars. Some of them, BMW for example, it seems like they're a little long, and the same can kind of happen for sixth gear in the Ferrari too. It's not a spec gear ratio and final drive across all the makes and models. They do have their peculiarities. Some of them, first gear can be great through hairpins and slow corners. Other cars, you'd never dream of it. It's all second gear. And then how much you get to use of your tippy top tallest gear just depends car to car to car.
It does indeed. So much variation here in engine types and power curves as a result. All plays a part when you add it to the gear ratios, as you so mentioned, indeed. Because, I mean, yeah, we've got the Mercedes here with over 6 litres of naturally aspirated V8. So that's a great linear power response there for those cars, which means that you can sort of dig down in second gear in the slower turns, not really bother so much with first and just trust it to pull on out. But then you've got cars like the Lamborghini and the Porsche here, naturally aspirated, small displacement engines, which definitely prefer the revs. So you probably will want to step it down all the way to first gear and drive it off in the lowest ratio possible. Just saw there flash up on screen. Matthew Bowler making some gains on Sebastian Flock last lap. Flock a bit of a sloppy one, losing 7/10 to both Bowler in the lead in second and Haydenveld in P3. Once again, though, the fight is on for fourth. Simon Mazzomo holds that spot for now, but this time it's the Ferrari of Tyson Hanma who's going to try and apply the blowtorch here as they come down to the Mercedes arena of sorts. I think it's called arena.
Let's call that arena in the next part stadium.
Yeah, I never quite get it which way it is.
Remember when there was a Telstra Dome in Melbourne and a Telstra Stadium in Sydney? That wasn't confusing. Same deal.
Okay, I mean, I guess I never really... I never cared much for... Oh, actually, never mind that. Oh, lordy, I was just going to go on about... inanities of different towers and stuff. Unfortunately for Tyson Hanma, he's come unstuck at turn 12 there, at Banks Stadium. Quachi, well, more precisely, he came unstuck running wide at the exit of the Mobile 1 curve that turn prior. So on the replay from Virtual Racing School, unfortunately, I'll watch that one come unstuck for Hanma once again here.
A lot of speed in. It goes off camber the minute you're on that curb, draws you out into the grass and the gravel, trying to save it. Then the front grips up and the rear doesn't. And he's almost lucky to not beach the car because, again, there's a place there where the camber of the road very different to the grass and gravel around it. The left-hand hairpin has a bit of nice camber to it. The grass and gravel doesn't. Once you get on the wrong side of it, tough to stop it before you get into the wall, Sebastian Vettel.
Indeed. Thankfully, we don't have wet weather just yet to make that, I guess, an extra bit of a challenge. So back to live pitch as we go, and looking back at this fight for now, P6 as Wilkinson looks to the inside of Jeffrey Wang. Oh dear, Tom, that's that's not quite how we try and make passes here. Unfortunately, Wang now drops into P10. Having taken that one there, we'll look at it again on the replay. Wang already defensive down the middle of the back straight here, David. Wilkinson, though, a long way back when he flicks out to try and get there under brakes.
Yeah, I mean, there's massive braking zone there from 260 k's an hour down to sort of 60 or 70, but you gotta be a bit closer to make that dive, I reckon.
Yeah, he's there, but he's only there once Jeffrey's already committed to the corner, so we'll not be surprised.
Yeah, if you're not alongside the guy, by the time the guy is starting to turn into the corner, you're too far back. And Wilkinson, I think, has got some problems with the aero there.
Yeah, big slide through the penultimate turn, immediately dives to the pit lane, and as we're informed by the director and can confirm ourselves, has picked up a mechanical black flag for his troubles there. So unfortunately, maybe a bit of just asserts there playing out for the 959, as it were. He'll have to come and make a unscheduled pit stop, and he's about 5-6 minutes too soon. So he's going to have to either fuel save the bejeebus out of the car at the end here, or going to have to make another splash and dash later on in the race. As we check in with the two Ferraris there, of Hanmer and Wang, now both trying to recover and running in 8th and 9th and in their now little bubble of their own here.
Yeah, indeed. Pitted on the same lap. Most of the field pitted on the same lap, sort of 4.5 ago. Your outliers really are Simon Mazzomo up in 4th, who we know is going to be 1 lap shorter on fuel by virtue of coming in a little early. And yeah, Patrick Panton, Andrew Proctor also pitting a little earlier than the rest of the field. No one really managed to massively extend on the first stint, did they? It was pretty much 7 laps for everyone. No big Ross Rizzo surprises.
Yeah, well, the Jeff Connell spec, as it were. Connell obviously being, if you've watched any of our Season 6 and Season 7 coverage here from AusPass, Season 6 in particular, making that McLaren do wonders at several of the tracks here on that Season 6 schedule earlier this year when we broadcast it here on SimSpeed. Yeah, so looks like everyone out here more or less driving it as an out-and-out sprint. I mean, 40 minutes is technically the length of a VRS GT Sprint official race, and for the most part, the GT3 car certainly does feel sprint-esque when you're driving it around for 40 minutes, but it does count as a mini enduro for the purposes of this series. So do have to keep things in mind there, but they are also fairly well fuel constrained here once again tonight. So yeah, still a couple of laps away from the pit window coming up for these cars, so they can make it home to the end from there. Now, once again, race lead has still been pretty calm. In fact, last lap around, Sebastian Flock finally finding some speed over the drivers behind him who slipped into the 138s. That being obviously Matthew Bowler there and Hayden Veld here in P3. A couple of tenths to actually reverse the damage there. And, well, back there in P4, Simon Zomo finally has some clean air, behind him in particular, as it's now Brady Buchanan in P5 behind him, who will be looking to hopefully make some inroads if he can. And then Matt Keane and Gustavo Cirillo working over 6th and 7th here at this stage of the race.
Buchanan looks pretty good, but he did lose a bit of time on the last lap. A 140.1. Yeah, almost everyone inside your top 10 is sort of doing 38s, 39. Sebastian Flock another 37.7. So that was a little bit of an outlier potentially from Buchanan. We'll see if he picks it up again on this lap, because otherwise Keane, Cirillo are only a couple seconds behind him there and lapping just a little bit quicker.
It definitely was an outlier. The times come through updated for your top 5, and well, Brady Buchanan was the 4th fastest car on track and pulled nearly over half a second out of the man in P4 in that not lone Porsche, I should say, pardon me, because Matt Hardigan and Stuart Brown are out there fighting the fight for the Stuttgart Shield here this evening. But the fight continues here.
So if there's a Porsche Experience Centre and a Mercedes grandstand, why are BMW not investing in something?
Well, maybe they've decided that Hockenheimring isn't quite their place. Unfortunately, my geography for Hockenheim isn't so flash, but I certainly know of BMW being Bavarian, which I certainly know to be southeast Germany. For some reason, well, actually, I remember that from my German classes back once upon a time, but anyways.
Yeah, we're closer to north of Frankfurt and near Mainz and other stuff, so sort of halfway in the north-south and in the west.
Okay, right.
Central west.
Central west, if we can vaguely plot Hockenheimring on a map of Germany. All right, there we go. So that might explain a few things there. Then again, I guess it depends on where Mercedes and Porsche are headquartered relative to Hockenheimring. Then we'll see if that checks out versus the point there about BMW. And don't get me started on Audi, because, well, yeah, who knows where they're at as well. And I'm reminded it's Nürburgring for Audi. So there you go.
looking at the
lap
maps
around.
now, just checking if I'm not feeding you dodgy info.
All right, you do that. I'll keep an eye on this here. Also, I think we should turn our attention at some point in the next lap or two, if it keeps closing, to the fight for P4, because Buchanan has been absolutely tearing time out of Mizomo for 4th place. He's inside a second now as they make their way up to turn 6 hairpin here. That looks to be in sectors 2 and 3 here in particular, where Buchanan is making solid time around the Hockenheimring. Sector 2 does encompass the run down the back straight, and there it is on the past 3 laps. The outlier there, certainly on lap 12, seemed to be off-brand, but then increasing gains on 13 and 14 at this stage as Buchanan picks up the pace here in that number 16 Lamborghini, while Mizomo tries to hold down that 4th place spot in the lone Porsche inside the top 10 at this point of the race.
So Hockenheim's on the Rhine near Mannheim and Heidelberg, halfway between Frankfurt and Stuttgart.
So Central West. Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
There we go. We have indeed confirmed the location of...
A little further south than I thought it was.
Okay, fair enough. As there we go.
Early stop.
Early stop in the first stint. Comes in early for the second stop, does Simon Mizomo. First man pitting inside the pit window to bring it home with 14 minutes and change on the clock. So he will drop down the order as these guys all fire on through for at least one more lap here, but no shockers there. 9-lap stint once he's filled up. So we'll presumably see all these guys come in here at the end of this one then, who are still on their 9th lap currently. Gives a bit of an idea of fuel range here tonight, so they'll all have the fuel space to put this one in here nice and easy. As we continue to watch Cirillo and Keane fighting over 5th place here as they make their way down into the back stretch. Cirillo looks good under brakes here, David, but not able to get close enough to pressure, but that's a bit of a wobble from Keane. Here comes Cirillo looking for the inside, has to go outside for turn 7. Commit though, he'll have the inside for turn 8 at the Mercedes arena. He's still trying to think about it, but not close enough under brakes. We'll have to tuck back in as they make their way past the grandstand there and up towards the Motor 1 curve and the stadium section as it was. Just checking here this fight, which presumably will be put on pause at the end of the lap.
Yeah, the predictor says 8 laps to go from here. That's Sebastian Flock and Matthew Bowler continuing on.
Okay,
So a little longer than we might have expected, but everyone who's still staying out at this point is going for, you know, that sort of short first stint, long middle stint, short closing stint. So I rate that particularly, you know, run long in this middle stint if you're, you know, in clean air and out of traffic, and then you don't carry quite as much weight of fuel. But Hanma and Wang are pitting in, so they're some of the first drivers other than Mizomo going to come in to clear their final stop and fuel to get to the end.
Yeah, that makes some sense. Actually thinking about it, 7 laps opening stint, maybe 10 laps here tonight with the tank restriction. That checks out somewhat to me as well. We are reminded that indeed Mizomo did only do 6 laps in the opening stint versus 7 for everyone else, but he also has only done 9 laps on this second stint, so cutting short both opening stints in this race, it seems, so far. Try and get the pit stop cleared early and then get out there and get back to it. Maybe the Porsche a little happier with a bit more fuel in the car in Mizomo's hands. Pit stop's complete for the second time, and indeed Mizomo has come out comfortably clear of Hanma and Wang. And well, once again, actually, in fact, looking at the numbers here, Hanma faster in the pit box, but Wang better in the pit lane, relatively speaking. Did lose nearly 2 seconds, well, lost 1.3. No, actually, no, my apologies. That checks out pretty much on the dot. Like a 10th variation there between transit and stationary differences, but that's margin.
Here come the leaders this lap then.
All right, so 10 laps is what they can get out of the tank here tonight, and that will be good information to remember for later on in the Pro-Am this evening. So, indeed, your top 3 are in. Presumably Buchanan's gone in at some point as well. Yep, he has. We just see there Keane and Cirillo head on into the lane. So we will watch now for the flurry of cars to finish up their final services in this series. And there you go. Flock leads Bowler off the lane. Still 1-2 for those two there. A little long there for Hayden Veld. Unfortunately, that will put paid to any attempt to potentially challenge for P2 here. But yeah, Matt Bowler right back on the gearbox of Flock, more or less, as Mazzoma's going to come out here alongside Brady Buchanan, but we'll have the overspeed round turn 1. Take P4 back from the number 16 machine, but Buchanan's close, and we'll have plenty of time here. 10 minutes and 7 laps, if our calculator can be trusted to have a proper crack at this one here.
Yeah, so Flock and Bowler are a lot closer after that, and I'm seeing similar pit stop times, but a quicker transit from Bowler, suggesting, well, I don't know what that suggests from Sebastian Flock, just not quite
Conservative.
as quick through the lane, and he's got Bowler back into his slipstream where he wasn't for almost that whole middle stint. Flock had, broken 2.5 seconds. Now it might be on for the final 10 minutes. Might be on between Mazzomo and Buchanan. We'll see if the shorter stops was disguising or flattering the pace for Mazzomo.
It is indeed. So curious to see how that one plays out, and I think Buchanan, has got quite a bit of time up his sleeve here. Calculator says 6 laps of racing.
Why did Gustavo Cirillo have such a long stop?
That's a good question. 39 seconds. That suggests, Director J. Kennedy just suggesting maybe tyres, and that could be it. 28 seconds. That's about the time it takes to do a full tyre change on top of the fuel. It seems that everyone else has done. And yeah, 28 seconds, that matches up perfectly with the tyre change, because it's not long enough to be a penalty on the way in for speeding or anything of the sort. Someone who has picked up a penalty on pit entry, unfortunately, was Jake Buxton there in the number 10 Mercedes. Matt Hardigan, the 999 Porsche. Oh dear, Hardigan's just picked up I think I just saw a penalty clear on the way down the lane. He's got a second penalty on pit exit for good measure. So 999 Porsche coming unstuck there in the pits. But the fight, that we keep our focus on screen here, continuing here between Hanma and Wang for 7th.
Yeah, Jeffrey Wang's personal best lap of the race was last lap. That's closed him into Tyson Hanma. So Wang finding a little bit of speed right here, right now, in the closing stint.
Well, Ferrari v Ferrari brewing once again. Oh dear, double trouble for Matt Hardigan. Meanwhile, on the 999 Porsche, served a penalty for speeding on pit entry, left the box and jumped off the pit limiter too soon and picked himself up a penalty for speeding on the exit. So unfortunately for him, that will see him tumble from, well, P19 to P20 at this point. Definitely been a rough night behind the wheel for him, but gap down inside half a second now for P4 as we ride on board with number 16 of Brady Buchanan. Yeah, looking to keep the pressure on Simon Mazzomo. They've got 5 laps to go here.
Got a nice blue button on the steering wheel that plays Ezra Miller's upcoming movie. But other than that, very interesting onboard from the Lamborghini. Quite a different car to the Porsche. Both of them atmospheric, but we're talking about a flat 6 versus a V10, mounted versus rear mounted. Somo's last lap 38.5, Buchanan's last lap 38.4. Pretty similar between them at the moment, and Buchanan's been at this sort of half a second back, but not close enough to attack range for a little minute here. So is he hoping on tyre wear for Mazzomo? It's getting quite deep into the afternoon and the evening at this point. The track started 28 Celsius and now runs about 27.
Yes, it's a good point to make there. I'm not expecting it to make too much of a difference, but we'll have to see. I might be pushing a little bit hard here. That could still do it, but we'll have to keep you posted on that one. Once again, unfortunately, I'm dealing with
They're
some...
catching Hayden Veld, but caught him half a second each kind of lap here.
Yep. Yeah, okay, yeah, I do see that. Personal best sector 1 for Mazzomo as well on this particular lap. For
There's
you,
Veld in the green
The-
BMW just a little further up the road, and it's... oh, that one was well off pace for Veld on that lap there again.
Yeah,
He
he
caught him
dropped-
4 seconds.
Yep, he dropped a huge amount of time all in the final sector. So massive issues there for Veld at the end of the last lap, and he's got. Veld, what are you doing there? You're wobbling the car back and forth. A replay from Virtual Racing School to have a quick look at things here. And oh well, there you go. That's why we had troubles there. So Mobi 1 curve picked up another person going for a dip in the grass, and this time it was the 53 of Veld. His turn to push it a bit too hard through the corner, and yes,
a lot.
That's a lot too fast through that corner there.
He almost ended up all the way back in Bavaria. And now he's really under pressure because they caught him about another second on this lap. What on earth for Hayden Veld? It's got to be a problem of some kind.
For the rejoin here, Mazzoma gets through. Buchanan probably going to get through here. No, Buchanan gets stuck on the apex trying to set that one up and get past him without fuss. And
What's going on for Veld? That's not a place you expect to lose it at all like that.
Interesting there indeed. Replay from Virtual Racing School once again coming in. This one for Matt Hagen, the 111, and oh dear, that's quite stuck. And yeah, this is what I was catching just before we went to the replay of Veld going off.
Wheel snaps right, just back there as well.
See here, hearing wobbling back and forth a bit down the straight here, and yeah, just runs it very deep. Right, well, I'm going to go ask some questions while this is all happening.
It's not right, but it's closed up with 4 minutes to go at the lead here. Bowler exited from that second stop right with Sebastian Flock and now smells a little bit of blood in the water. It'll be 2 laps to go at the end of this one. So the time to make a move is now.
It would seem to be the case. So let's keep your eyes on this one here as Bowler is nice and close now. They'll make their way around and out of the Mercedes arena, I should say. Into number 1 curve we go. Bowler's looking racy.
So has Bowler got his force feedback back?
It would seem to be the case, yes. Temporary issue, I would suspect, but I can't confirm for you at this stage.
Doing personal best pace again.
Finishes one in style, and just close it out with a bit of a dominant stamp. Meanwhile, in the background, unfortunately, we have lost Matt Hardigan from this race, so the Shoreline Porsche is no more. And we'll finish this one in 21st place as a retirement from this one, but well, there you go. Less than 3 minutes on the clock. 2 laps of racing here, according to my timing for these guys, or just under 2 laps, and it's going to go down to the wire. It's
Going to go down to the wire for all of your top 5. You've got this 2-way fight for the lead. It's 3-way behind them for third, where Veld, where he's just had a tidy lap this time, sandwiched between what was a battle between Mazzomo and Buchanan, and this kind of it's given third place to Simon Mazzomo, and it's sort of stops Buchanan from attacking Mazzomo quite how he wanted to.
well, fight still on for 16th place here is Stuart Brown close to the bumper there of Hayden Jackson as they come through turn 11 for their penultimate time. Jackson's looking to try and keep pressure on Paul Longworth as well for 15th. So these 3 guys still lined up. Ferrari, Mercedes, Porsche as they come round the final turn. They won't have the white flag, of course. The leader's not too far behind, but still a little on back here as a move potentially into turn 1. But Jackson has to send it up the inside with a very narrow entry to the corner as Stuart Brown tried to take advantage in this contact between Longworth and Brown. Into the fence on the inside of the pit lane they will go, and they need to be careful because the race leaders are coming through having taken the white flag.
So a super ambitious dive on a tight angle into turn number 1 here. space gets given, but it's what happens after that. Brown's a long way back on this one.
And oh dear. Brown looked to be in control there, so that was very, at least from that angle there, Longworth seemed to be quite off the pace as expected. But we return to live pitches because it is the final lap of the race as the timer ticks on down. Hayden Veld under pressure for P4 from Brady Buchanan. Sebastian Flock under pressure from Matt Bowler for the race win here tonight. As up into the turn 6 hairpin we go here, David. Buchanan's going to have to go the long way around on the BMW, but it's going to be given just barely a car's width. Has to be careful of that big old sausage curb. They're going to bump a little bit there on the way out of the hairpin, as there's just enough width for the two of them to go side by side through turn 7 here, down into the Mercedes Arena complex. This time, bump again between Veld and Buchanan as they go through the turn. I think Buchanan's got this one done. No, Veld keeps it up the inside. It's going to be side by side on the drag race off of turn number 10, but no, Buchanan gets his nose ahead. Meanwhile, your leaders come through the final turn. It was close at the line, but Sebastian Flock will hold the race win at the end of it all. But your champion for season number 7 in Pass 2 is going to be that man in second place, Matthew Bowler. A comfortable championship win with that second place finish. And the man to round out the podium after weathering a huge amount of pressure in this race in particular. It is going to be Simon Zomo in the 551 Porsche.
Super close battle between Buchanan and Veld right there, but Buchanan just keeps it in front. So they battled almost every corner into the final sector on the final lap there.
And Bowler opting to start his celebrations by blowing the motor up. So, well, bit of a short mail. Looks a bit unfortunate there, but indeed, needed to come home at least P14 and, well, under no pressure there to ends up P2 as a result. So, pretty good day of racing for them. Yeah, final couple of cars fighting here, we believe, although apparently they're telling me they're a lap down, but we've got Hayden Jackson, Reese Ashmore here fighting over 14th as they come around the final couple of corners here. Jackson up the inside at turn 12 here, David, and able to cut the nose off on Ashmore. Don't think there's going to be much left here, but that's a lap traffic ahead. That could cause a bit of trouble here through the final couple of turns as they try and figure out what to do here at the end of the race. Where is the line? The answer is it's going to be somewhat normal, but they're wibbling and wobbling all over the place, but it will be Jackson to come across the line and gets ahead. No, pardon me, they were actually already lapped, and so they just did a full lap at speed, it seems.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing too.
I thought my timing was glitched because they were racing. Okay, well, yeah, a bit of, yeah, indeed. Everything checks out there. Places change. Ah, yes. So an incident between the two of them puts them 2 minutes behind the race lead, but because they took the white flag before they got lapped, it's all above board. So, well, bit of interesting thing there. But let's walk you through the race results from Pass 2 this evening. Sebastian Flock, your race winner, but unfortunately for him, not enough to deny Matthew Bowler the Pass 2 championship for season number 7 as they finish within 3/10 of each other. But then it's a bit of a gap back there to Masai Mizomo in P3 with that Porsche, as I said, coming under a lot of pressure all race long, David, but able to hang on and also gain after some mistakes there from Hayden Bell in particular, moving back to P5. Brady Buchanan gets through as well into P4, and then behind that, the next best was Matthew Keane, the end of it all, able to undercut the Ferraris of Tyson Hanma and Jeffrey Wang for 7th and 8th, respectively. Thomas Wilkinson recovers to P9 despite his incident with Jeffrey Wang, but post-race penalties of some measure there for the 959, I would think. Thomas LeBrake wraps things up there to take 10th place in the final race for season number 7 here in Pass 2.
Yeah, it feels like we almost never saw LeBrake, but just quietly into the top 10, and then Gustavo Cirillo in 11th, Patrick Hansen, Andrew Proctor, Hayden Jackson and Reese Ashmore, last cars on the lead lap there. Angus Kelly, Paul Longworth, John Gagliardi and Stuart Brown, and then 2 laps down for Jake Buxton. Matt Hardigan, well documented the troubles he had, most of them with pit lane here, unfortunately.
And, pardon me, we are indeed going to quickly grab a chat with the champion of Pass 2 for season number 7. The number 12 of Matthew Bower joins us here in the interview booth for a moment here. And, well, we ran the numbers and we were talking about it a little bit at the start of the race, Matt. You needed to finish 14th or higher to walk away with the title. But P2, another dominant result from you. Not quite able to beat Seb there tonight, but a couple of hardware troubles to make things a little bit interesting this evening.
Yeah. It was good fun all season. Jumped in probably, I think it was Red Bull Ring for the Cup car round, and had a blast. And then, yeah, me and a few of the guys decided to do it for the rest of the season. And yeah, I can't believe we grew such an advantage over the field. But yeah, it was good fun. And then, yeah, this race we just wanted to have a bit of fun and have a good hard battle for the last time this season. And I think by lap 5 I went around the hairpin, and then my wheel just gave in, force feedback completely gone in my direct drive. So yeah, if I let go of my wheel for a split second, it would just turn hard left. So I had no feel all race and had to hold onto the wheel as much as I could. But yeah, I was just pretty happy to just stick with Seb the whole time.
Yeah, you guys been, well, since you joined, pretty much the class of the field here in Pass 2. And I mean, yeah, realistically probably should be up racing in the pro division rather than this year, but that's just the way it rolls when you don't sign up for the season and go through the qualifying phase. Will we see you back at all for future seasons of AusPass here on a Thursday night and go through that, the Pro-Am qualification process, whatever that turns out to be? Is it might be changing in the future, but can't confirm that just yet?
Yeah, I think I definitely will, and I'm sure a few of the other guys will too. It was good fun, but yeah, like you said, I think we are a bit too fast for the other guys in this field. Nothing against them or anything like that, but we want to give them a chance to battle amongst themselves, I guess, and we can probably go up to the more difficult division and actually have to put more effort into it.
I think that would be a good test for yourself, and also, as you said, yeah, give things nice and steady here in the Pass 2 field. Before we let you go, Matt, just a chance to thank partners who helped you get the result tonight.
Well, definitely not my direct drive, but yeah, I'll just thank the guys at Visceral Esports for everything they've been doing for me, and I'll just thank obviously Sam and every other person for the admin team that helps put on this series, and obviously you guys here at SimSpeed TV for putting on an awesome broadcast and dedicating your time to the commentary.
Thank you. Your Pass 2 champion, season 7 of the Simrix.com Oz Pro Sim Series, Matthew Bower, there with us in the commentary box. And I think what we might want to do is take a quick break here and transition over to the Pro-Am. And so apologies to the podium finishes there in Pass 2, but Pro-Am is coming up in a couple minutes time, and I need to try and fix up some audio issues for good measure, so I might try and do that too in the background. So stay with us here at SimSpeed. We'll be back in a couple of moments for the Pro-Am race here at the Hockenheimring.
This is the world's premier online racing simulation. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat from your home computer with the most realistic online motorsports experience you'll find anywhere. Race virtually in the world's biggest events with officially licensed series, cars, and tracks. From the high banks of Daytona to the blistering speeds of Indianapolis, the dirt of Eldora to the world's most legendary road courses. It's all here, and with more than 180,000 people just like you already driving, you'll always have someone to race. Ready to get behind the wheel? Sign up at iRacing.com to get started.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
We're back here at SimSpeed TV for coverage of the final round of season number 7 of the Simrigs.com Oz Pro-Am Sim Series. It's now time for the Pro-Am drivers to make their mark here tonight at the Hockenheimring. 60 minutes of GT3 action coming your way in just a moment's time. But first, let's walk you through the championship standings as they are before we get into the race here, David. Starting with the Pro class, I'll leave it to you for a sec.
Yeah, so these championship standings, Kobe Williams, handy little lead coming into the final race here ahead of Lachlan Capel and Jeff Connell, who I don't think we're going to see, Jeff. Then Joshua Fitt in 4th. Something could happen there. And Brandon Levin, Christopher Henn, Adam Funslow, Ross Rizzo, Luke Fitt, and Wayne Hewitt as our top 10 in the Pro class standings. Dylan O'Shea, small but useful lead in the AM class standings from Graham Smith, Matthew Johnson, Sam Lehman, Richard Brookfield, Daniel Cheney, Ben Jeffrey, Nick Wood, Dale Carpenter, and Aaron DeLuca. Qualifying is just wrapping up at this moment, and then we get ready to go into the 1 hour race, which is going to have quite a bit of strategy, maybe some more battles for position, because we've got a more numerous grid up here in the Pro-Am Sim Series. Joshua Fitt, 4th in the championship standings, is going to start on the front row in the Audi with Tim Orty alongside him in the Ferrari. That's Christopher Henn and Alan Holgerson for that row number 2. Lachlan Capel in 5th place. Your championship leader, Kobe Williams, starting out at 6th. Again, just seeing the checkered flag, probably enough for him to seal up that championship. Then you've got some of your AM class competitors here on row number 4. Luke Fitt and Derek Orty sharing that row. Brandon Levin starting there on row number 5. On the inside, on the outside, is the AM class championship leader, Dylan O'Shea. Got Richard Brookfield and Daniel Cheney for row number 6, which makes up about half of the field that we're going to have for this 1 hour race.
It is indeed a little bit of a smaller grid tonight in the Pro-Am, but still plenty of drivers to talk about here tonight. So let's walk you through the next group of cars here. Phil Audi, number 45 machine, starts out of 13th, has second place in the championship for the AMs. Graham Smith alongside them in 14th place. And then it's going to be Nick Wood and Aaron Raccanello sharing row number 8. Ben Jeffrey and Adam Jepson on the 9th row there together. Sam Lehman and Dale Carpenter rounding out your top 20 tonight. Then your final 5 cars, Hilton Booth, Sean Lacey, Ben Pollock, Nick Bottrell and Simon Dwyer to round out the grid for the race this evening. And I think, yeah, quite interesting to see here. Josh Fitt up on pole with Timothy Audi alongside him.
We need to audit them fits, because you've got Joshua Fitt as your overall pole sitter and Luke Fitt as your AM class pole sitter in there as well. So clearly Hockenheimring suiting them well in the qualifying.
Somewhat indeed, but crucially here is the AusPass balance of performance. It's an engine power modifier based on the average of the top 3 results in the Pro-Am feature by manufacturer. And, well, the car that took a hit last round was the BMW. Despite being down on power at Spa last week, David, they still did well enough to earn another 1% power reduction to tie things up between our top 3 in the championship, who are running BMWs and Mercedes respectively, down to 95.5%. But they're definitely struggling for a bit of engine power, it would seem, in this round, whereas everything else is up at 100% power. So explains why our first BMWs sitting 5th and 6th on the road for this one. As the pace lap begins, short pace lap as well is always appreciated as we get this formation underway and head to the green.
So pit strategy then, what are we expecting compared to past two?
Well, I can tell you that the fuel limits are exactly the same and the car setups are exactly the same. So we should be seeing roughly similar plays here. Computer says 38 laps here for this one. At least my timing does. So think about it here, 7 laps in the opening tank, and then you do 10, 10, 10. Well, actually, it could be a touch and go there between it becoming a 4-stop race or a 3-stop race as the field makes its way around the final turn. Saving fuel in this opening stint might be a requirement if you want to cut a pit stop out of this one here. We go green in the Pro-Am, and it's time to see how we go here at the Hockenheimring. 3 wide up inside the top 10 with Brandon Levin trying to get up the inside of Luke Fitt, and a lot of cars running wide through the opening corner there. It was almost 4 wide further on back, but we're clean through turn 1, David.
Yeah, held my breath as Brandon Levin made it 3 wide down the inside of turn 1. Always narrows towards the apex there. They're making it 3 wide a bit further up here, and Christopher Hen trying to shove his nose of his Lamborghini in. Didn't quite work out through the 3 apexes of turns 2, 3, and 4, and you've got to be set up good onto this long straight. Cars around a bit deeper in the field. Sam Lehman and Dale Carpenter, they look like they're going to be able to continue. For the front of the field, it's all about the big braking zone at the hairpin.
Down into the hairpin we go, speaking of for the first time here, and it all checks up pretty aggressively through the mid-pack, but we're still clean. Even though we're going 2 wide there, Luke Fitt's got DPR teammate Dylan O'Shea getting a spot around the outside. In fact, Fitt's going backwards at the start of this one in the 151 Audi here, as up the inside of him goes, it's Brookfield in the ILEC Lamborghini it is, but Brookfield not able to make the move stick at Mercedes as they come round the corner, and well, there we go, just hangs onto it there as they make their way down into the Mobil 1 curve. Single file now for the time being here as they make sure they get themselves settled in on this opening lap, it seems. All nice and well behaved on this this first one. And now run up to the end of the first lap.
Track temp's a lot cooler than what we saw in past two, so lap times are going to be quicker, but tyre deg could also be a little bit less, potentially. But then fuel consumption probably more difficult with cooler air and track temperatures as well. If we think the drivers are going to have to stretch it a little bit, do we maybe see a little bit that on board with the BMW potentially?
According to my updated timing calculations, no. We've completed lap 1 here, and the timing is updated to a 37 lap race for this one here tonight. So we should be good as long as you do 10 laps to a tank once you pit, and you've also got to make sure you do 7 laps here on the opening stint. So you will have to make sure you're running out the tanks. But you did see in past 2 a 7-lap stint didn't look anything too crazy, nor did a 10-lap stint once the fuel was in the car here. So all should be fairly plain and straightforward as Brookfield's up the inside. Well, trying to get up the inside of Graham Smith, but not able to get the pass done here at the Mercedes Arena. And good news for Smith is he's up 3 spots, but O'Shea is ahead up the road, and that's the man he needs to race for the AM Championship here this evening. So all eyes for Smith need to be looking forwards from here if he can hopefully get some cooperation out of Brookfield. In behind is trouble further on back in the pack. Ben Jeffrey, unfortunately for him, in the 150 BMW's taking a hit to the left rear corner, it seems, David. We'll check it out on the Virtual Racing School replay to confirm.
Yeah, indeed. Coming to the stadium. Oh, was he a little out of shape already? I think at the mid corner here.
Yeah, you've already gone around, as you said there. So unfortunately for Jeffrey, self-inflicted with maybe a slight nudge from an unexpected there in the apex of the corner.
I think if he got hit, it was because he slowed up, not the other way around.
Yeah, just a bit back and forth here with the director Jay Kennedy on what this race length will be. Using different timing softwares here this evening means that we've got some conflicting answers, David. My timing update at the end of lap 1 to suggest we'd have a 37 lap race, but Jay's has updated to say it was going to be a 38 lap race. If it goes to 38 laps, that will put them, based on what we saw in past 2, 1 lap short of a clean 3-stop strategy, at least a full pace 3-stop strategy.
Waiting for mine to update, but it still sits at 37 laps. What we have seen here is a bit of movement at the front of the AM field. Remember, Dylan O'Shea started out of 3rd in that class. Now got past Luke Fitt and Derek Orty, and almost looks like he's going to motor up some of those pro competitors who currently occupy the top 7 spots.
Yes, that will be important indeed. I'll be curious to see how things go. Meanwhile, back up towards the front of the field for the guys who are in our BMWs and Mercedes tonight, because they're the ones that are currently hit with a serious engine power deficit. Of course, as always, the Pro-Am series here runs a rolling engine power balance of performance to try and even things out a little bit in this series for the guys who are running up the front of the championship, and try and give guys in different car manufacturers a bit of a chance. But it will affect a couple of drivers here tonight. But again, your top 2 in the Pro Championship, Lachlan Capel and Kobe Williams, both in BMW, so they're both hit equally there. Currently running 5th and 6th at the moment as we check out Daniel Cheney getting passed by Bill Audi there. So Audi gets himself back into P13, where he started this race in that 45 Phoenix Smokers Audi. Cheney now down 2 spots from where he started the race in 12th, but good pace through Mobile 1 curve out of Cheney there. He's close, but opts to not push it here into turn 12, this time by at least.
Yeah, look at that line. What you can run is a little bit away from the apex through there and not really suffer too much because of the way the camber is. Anywhere else, you'd have missed the apex, but you can kind of work it there. Losing positions here is Nick Wood, I think it is.
It is indeed. Yeah,
no rear end stability for BMWs through that corner. Not the first car. In fact, he almost gets cleaned up by whoever it was who'd already had a similar problem.
Indeed, so good points to make there. Meanwhile, Ben Jeffrey, first man to the pit lane in the 150 BMW from the back of the field. That's definitely off sequence, and well, based on what we're talking about fuel numbers, that now commits him to a 4-stop strategy, if I'm not mistaken, because he won't be able to make it home there. He's 3 laps short of what I believe is the required pit lap here for the first stop. Meanwhile, Doug Carpenter just edging up the inside of Nick Bottrell there in the 225 Porsche, and a bit of a rub there through the corner. Allows Nick Wood to follow Carpenter through and the exit of turn number 6 there. So job done. And meanwhile,
interesting to see
that there.
Wood following Carpenter, not the other way around.
Oh dear. Oh well, it's a bad pun, but I suppose it was done well enough. Well, no, apparently Jay likes that one, so it survives. Meanwhile, back and forth there between Phil Audi and Daniel Cheney continued. At some point previous, while we were looking elsewhere, Cheney got back through in the Mercedes, but a good move up the inside there of turn 11 allows Audi through, but also gets Aaron Racanello through in the BMW there, the 247 machine. So change of position there, just outside the top 10 outright currently. Meanwhile, just checking out the fight for P4 between Alan Holgerson, Lachlan Capel and Kobe Williams. All lined up in a nice little row here. Those BMWs, though, definitely looking like they're struggling on engine power because they are not catching Holgerson even with the toe. It's going to be a send under brakes from Capel. It forces Holgerson 6 miles wide at the apex of turn 6. Levin tries to get himself a shot there of it too on the way up the inside, but he's not able to get through. So change there between Capel and Holgerson. Puts a car between him and Kobe Williams, of course, important for that championship. But going back to that championship here tonight, David, in the pro class, yeah, the gap is quite substantial between them. And I'll just run the numbers again so I can actually get you that exact number. 229 points coming into the seedings race between Williams and Capel for that pro class championship. Although there's a replay up from Virtual Racing School. Take us through it here, David.
Well, Derek Audie in the McLaren looking like he's struggling with the, really struggling with the rear end stability there. The AstroTurf a lot more slippery than he was expecting. And sort of lit it up as he attempted to rejoin, and really sort of a little mistake became a bigger one quite quickly there. Another unexpectedly early stop from Luke Fitt after just 6 laps. If our reading of the numbers is right, that could see him just sort of compound one stop to the next stint and end up 1 lap short on fuel at the end of this race, if we forecast 50 minutes into the future and read it right.
That's going to be important there. I think, to be honest, that, yeah, I said Audi's got a little bit more fuel mileage in it once the stop completes later on. We'll have to wait and see. As meanwhile, up the inside of Kobe Williams looks Brandon Levin. Contact between the two of them on the exit of the hairpin unsettles the 994 BMW, but no change of position there as they come off the turn. So they're all bunched up, and they've brought Dylan O'Shea, who's still leading the AM class out on track currently, into the mix of this here. Levin looks for the over-under, but O'Shea there too close to be able to make that work. So Williams hangs on to his spot, but now has dropped 1.1 seconds behind Holgerson in that Ferrari. And we know Holgerson's got good single lap pace based on qualifying in P4 tonight, ahead of the 2 BMWs that we're making note of here in particular, but not quite got the pace here at this point during the race, David. Let's see here, does everyone peel to the pit lane? I believe the answer is yes. Indeed, it is going to be a flurry of cars all diving for the pits, having burnt up all the starting fuel here with a 7-lap opening stint.
Yep, be really shocking if anyone continued. So you see them all, you mean all of them, streaming into pit lane looking for their pit crews, which of course are going to be ordered based on where you qualified. Nick Wood gave a little hello to Dale Carpenter as Carpenter maybe woed up for the start of the pit lane speed limit a little earlier than Nick Wood was expecting. Off the pit lane though, anything surprise you about this order?
Have a look here. Luke Fitt's gotten past. That's right. Luke Fitt coming around on track here has jumped up several spots as a result of this one here, but he's a lap into his stint now. So whether that AM Class 151 Audi can do anything here is yet to be seen. He returns to the track now in P6. Meanwhile, as we've been noted and can see on our timing, slightly shorter stop for Kobe Williams. That might be important here, because if that's 1 lap of fuel that he's tried to undercut here, that could put him in a potentially risky spot later on in the race if the group stays together as well. That will be important for this one here. So I was running the numbers just before we went to the replay here tonight, David. So I'll walk you through it. So yeah, the gap between the two of them is 229 points. That is Lachlan Capel and Kobe Williams second and first in the pro class, respectively, this evening. So that kind of gap here tonight, well, if Capel was to somehow make his way forward and win the race, Kobe Williams would have to score no more than 281 points, which would require Kobe to slip back into P10 at the end of this race for the championship order to be reversed between the two of them. If Capel was able to pick up the bonus 20 championship points for completing this race with 0 incident points, which, given the nature of this circuit, is challenging to be said at times, given, you got turn 1 there, a lovely opportunity to fire one in and run a bit wide potentially if you make a mistake there. It could be P9 for Williams if Capel finishes first with the bonus. But at this state, running nose to tail, well, not nose to tail per se, but 4th and 5th line astern, which means that championship will still certainly be in Kobe Williams' hands at the end of the evening. I'll hand to you here for a second, David, as we continue to watch the fight here on track between Timothy Audi and Christopher Hen for second place, as Hen's up the inside at the hairpin, but the over-under potentially here for Audi on the exit.
Brandon Levin also having a little bit of a look behind that hairpin, really tempting some drivers into going in a little deeper. All that really seems to have done is cost Hen and Audi a little bit of time. And Christopher Hen looks like he might just hold on to that second place. They've dropped the slipstream from leading Joshua Fitt and brought Lachlan Capel and Kobe Williams in a little bit closer.
Yes, indeed. And well, Capel and Williams, they'll be pretty happy about that one there, because they're the ones with the engine power deficit to all these other cars around them here tonight. Meanwhile, here further on back in the field, it's 18th overall, but Nick Bottrell and Nick Wood fighting it out here amongst the AMs and amongst the AM category. It's fighting over, I believe, 9th and 10th, if I'm not mistaken, here in classes. Up the inside at the Mobil 1 curve looks Nick Wood. Bottrell tries to hang around the outside. He will hang around the outside, David, but actually, in fact, he holds it around the outside just well enough here. He's got the inside here for this bank turn 12, but fantastic commitment around the outside from Nick Wood. Gets that place done on the exit here through the last couple of corners.
Yeah, the camber there does just help you get around the outside a little if you need. And in fact, the instability from the BMWs looked like when they got down low in that long left-hand hairpin. So working out well for Nick Wood as he picks off another spot. Flash of the headlights from Dylan O'Shea, AM-class leader, right in behind Brendan Levin and Alan Holgerson. As they come towards the hairpin, a place that Levin's never been shy of thinking about having a look. Oh, and it's just a little clumsy as they all three of them tangle on the exit there.
Oh dear, I was just going to check the points in class. O'Shea happens to get on through, but here comes Graham Smith, and for Graham, this is perfect here because he's racing Kobe for that AM class win. And now the points here in Pro Am are scored by class, so the pro drivers behind that have been involved in that little scuffle here aren't relevant to the discussion. What's critical here is that despite their outright places on the road, you're looking at the fight for P2 and P3 in class currently, with Luke Fitt up the road, the leading AM driver. Now, the gap between O'Shea and Smith in that championship standing is 55 points, which currently would require Graham Smith to go get the win in class, and O'Shea would need to settle into 3rd place in class. So we need to see Smith make his way past O'Shea here and then go and find the gap up the road to everyone ahead. In fact, it's quite a hefty gap. It's 7 seconds from O'Shea up to Luke Fitt. You can just see him in the deepest reaches of the background shot there. So it would take some serious work here from Graham Smith to hunt that gap down, I would suggest, given the Mercedes also has quite the power deficit tonight, David. But, well, never say never, I guess, in a 60-minute race like this. But the big points differential is going to be quite the challenge to overcome. As Brandon Levin, second time on Alan Holgerson at the hairpin here. This time, up the inside nice and early. Looks to have that one mostly done, but I think a sloppy run over the apex curve is going to give Holgerson a chance around the outside into the Mercedes arena here.
Not quite. Looks like Holgerson didn't want to go around the outside of the kink. I think you're almost flat out too wide through the kink there, but it does require maybe a little bit more trust than you're thinking about giving at this point in the race.
Yes, I would have thought so too, based on my own bit of driving every now and again. There's the next man in AM class here is Richard Brookfield. Unfortunately, with these two pro cars ahead, they'd like to go and catch on up to the AMs ahead, because then they can go and try and catch the pros further on up the road. But Brookfield here wants to race those two directly, well, not directly I should say, but not that far up the road. He's also got fellow AM Phil Audi in behind in that Audi that he'd like to try and defend against. So again, the intricacies of multi-class battling here in AusPass, and also the intricacies that come with the fact that the points are not distributed overall, David, but distributed per class, and therefore, even though you're sharing the road with the pros, you're not racing them for position or points in the scheme of things. So always keeping that one there in mind, it would seem, at this point of the race. But these guys very much the second battle pack on the road at the moment, but it does stretch here from 7th back to 12th.
Well, it's all battle packs everywhere, isn't it? Except for the 1.5 seconds that Joshua Fitt has got, and Luke Fitt. Nope, he's in the battle too now as well, with Kobe Williams and Lachlan Capel. So it goes 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and then 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th for your top half of the field at the minute. And then you've got other little AM class battles sprinkled further down by Kilton Booth and Dale Carpenter. Nick Wood, who still seems to be working his way back up the field a little bit as well. And they are to the middle of what ought to be a 10-lap stint at the moment. So if everyone's following the plan and the schedule, they've still got a lot to go in this run before they think about their next series of pit stops.
Yeah, well, just crossing under the 40-minute mark, and these guys have already got 12 laps under the on the clock. So we know from here that the cars can do it in a 2-stop strategy here. It was a 7-lap stint, then a 10-lap stint for the most part, and then it was, oh, pardon me, how many more laps was it after that? There's another 7 to get to the end there, as my brain decided to completely malfunction. Yes, 7 laps. So from here, 24 laps of racing to go there or thereabouts, and might get a 25th lap in, given that these guys are lapping a bit quicker. So from here, 5 laps and then 2 10-lap tanks on schedule to get this one done in 3 stops.
So really massive braking zone there at the hairpin. It's more than I even gave it credit for. That they're arriving at 260 and taking the apex at 60, and they're shedding 3/4 of all the speed on the brakes on the way into that one. So you see some drivers get tempted to have a big look down the inside. The track feels really wide and inviting on the way in, but then the apex is so slow and the corner is so tight that it can lead to some problems. So Cheney's in behind Racanello. Racanello just gets, that really, really slippery AstroTurf there. It looks like green painted concrete, but it behaves like grass there.
Unfortunately, it claims another victim. We've seen Derek Audie go around there in the 88 McLaren already this race. Now claims Aaron Racanello in the 247 BMW. Racanello has gotten back going, but he's now down in 18th place. Meanwhile, Cheney here, who was directly behind him, now up to 13th in that 444 Orbit Motorsport entry. Still down a spot, unfortunately, where he started. And, well, the group of cars he wants to race are up the road, is picking him up the road. Brandon Levin up the inside of Graham Smith is going to actually separate these two here on the road, which not all that ideal for Smith, of course, given that these two are racing for the AM Championship. But Levin, clearly good pace on the road here, has been able to reel these two in after they were able to break away thanks to the scuffles a couple of laps ago between the guys behind. So see here if Levin can get on through on O'Shea, but then still got to try and close a massive margin to the cars ahead, with Luke Fitt latching onto the rear of Kobe Williams next up the road. But next up the road here is another 9 seconds or thereabouts.
Holgerson lucky to hold on to that one. We saw others lose it. Massive moment.
It was indeed on the exit of Mobil 1 curve. We'll check it out on the Virtual Racing School replay. As it's another case of a driver pushing the limits a bit here. So out of turn 10 they go to turn 11 here, Mobil 1 curve. Nice use of the apex curve, but then just runs it in too deep. Way out in the gravel, and almost a carbon copy of Tyson Hanneman's error in the past 2 race, but doesn't cut or doesn't slide across onto the grass on the right side of the circuit, which enables him to keep that car under control. And I don't think he lost a place in all that one there, despite the chaos. As well, keep your eyes on Brandon Levin. Slipstream, full engine power versus a detuned BMW. He's looking for the move on Dylan O'Shea here at the hairpin. And, well, makes that look quite pedestrian as Richard Brookfield on behind is going up the inside of Holgerson and gets the job done. Just narrows the exit there to finish the job. It now puts second, third, and fourth in the AM class on the road line astern. Meanwhile, further on back, Carpenter and Wood make contact and go firing off the road. Hilton Booth goes back on through in the 412 McLaren, and oh my word, that was a lot of chaos there. Let's try and unpack that one on the replay as well here, David.
Wood. Looking to the left. He's sandwiched in the middle.
Oh,
There's just a little bit of a tap right at the start of the braking zone, and the rear gets super loose for Nick Wood. Tries to hold on to it.
Keeps out of the tyre bundle, so credit to him there as we jump on board, looking right back with Doug Carpenter on the bumper. And yep, there's the nudge and there's the bang. Both of them way past the corner. Trying to get past Hilton Booth there on the straightaway. And well, that late move across from Booth, making things a little bit chaotic down at the hairpin. But back to live pitch as we go. And well, how about that? Mistakes from Joshua Fitt, potentially last couple of laps here. David, while we've been looking mid-pack, have wiped out 2/3 of that lead he had built up to Christopher Hen, gap down from 1.5 to 0.6 of a second.
Well, Hen's found a pretty significant turn of pace right here. His personal best on the last lap. And gosh, I think a 10th away from the fastest lap of the race as well. So the track doesn't have the direct sunlight on it anymore. The fuel's gotten a little lighter. So Fitt's carrying on pretty much the same pace. Christopher Hen's found a little more.
Oh, trouble further on back between Aaron Raccanello and Dale Carpenter at turn 7. They've gotten together and... oh dear, don't tell me I just saw an intentional punt from Dale Carpenter. And he's towed to the pits. Meanwhile, yep, quartet of the race leaders, Fitt, Audie, Williams, and Capel. Sorry, Fitt, Audie, Williams, and Fitt again, sorry. All to the pits after 9 laps.
Well, it's 10 for Luke Fitt, but he pitted after 6 at the start. It is just the 9 for Joshua Fitt, Tim Audie, and Kobe Williams. So yeah, that on our calculations from the data we've got sees them a little bit short. Raccanello caught as in the crossfire a bit earlier is going to have to pit, but I suspect it's more for damage than the fuel. So Christopher Hen carries on, Lachlan Capel carries on, and Brandon Levin now into the top 3 overall.
Okay, so on the replay from Virtual Race, a bit of a nudge from Raccanello. Sent Carpenter wide at the hairpin here. Then they're side by side and they sort of meet in the middle here to turn 7. The cars lock together and both go flailing off the track through the corner here. And then on board there. And, well, yeah, I can't quite hear the engine note there on board with Carpenter, but I don't really need to hear that to see what I just did and know what that was. Disappointing to see that one there from Carpenter to attempt to punt out Raccanello there in the heat of the moment.
So Christopher Hen does now pit after what we thought was the laps you needed to do to make this a 3-stop, not a 4-stop race. And this has followed in a lot of others as well, like Lachlan Capel, watching Brandon Levin attack the pit lane speed limit, 80 k's an hour down this Grand Prix lane.
Seeing here that their laps have been decent. 36, no, pardon me. 1 minute 40 for these guys here. Meanwhile, Joshua Fitt to the race lead. What was his previous lap? A 39.1 from him. Christopher Henry joins the track in P3. Cable, pardon me, P4. Williams P5. So as they were, Luke Fitt in P6. And then Levin and O'Shea 7 and 8. But look at the gap they've built to the next group of cars behind in Graham Smith, Richard Brookfield, and Owen Holgerson. O'Shea in particular, very quick on the pit stop at 12.8 seconds. So either found a bit of time, or has he potentially cut the fuel 1 lap short here? Again, our calculator says 20 laps to go. It was 20 to go off the line. So these guys are going to need to make some serious fuel savings, unless with the sheer number of pit stops here, David, that's going to be enough to take a lap off the total at the end, and will save these guys here who have done that 9-lap run at this point in the race.
Be honest with you, I was watching a little pit lane entrance scuffle between Jepson and Nick Wood. The two of them were battling, and then it's kind of only one car wide on the pit entry. So lots of interesting stuff happening at the Hockenheimring, not least, you know, this strategy. Are Joshua Fitt and Tim Audie going to find themselves short? Christopher Henn and Lachlan Capel strategize themselves into a good position here. Time will only tell, as we've just passed the halfway point of the race, and expect it's a minimum of 1 more stop. The question is there 2 more in this? Some guy's going to get caught holding the bag and really fuel saving at the end.
Yes, that will be important to note. So the drivers potentially at risk. Your top 2, Joshua Fitt and Timothy Audie. Kobe Williams in P5. And Ben Jeffrey is well off sequence as well, unfortunately for him, down in P17. And he's being chased by McAnally, as we just saw there for a moment. But back up to the guys towards the front of the field, and well, it's looking like it's going to be on here for P2. Christopher Henn got undercut there by Timothy Audie with that pit 1 lap earlier from the Ferrari. Means that the stop was a little bit shorter for those 2 ahead. But now Henn in the slipstream might be able to save some fuel here, manage his pace, and then shorten up that 3rd and final stop for him, despite needing to put in basically a full tank. Just run the numbers here and just save a fraction over the course of the stint. That might just be what he needs at this point in the race.
Yeah, not the worst place to be for Christopher Henn, so long as Tim Audie keeps the pace up and keeps pedaling. It's if the likes of Fitt or Audie start really fuel saving on this run, that Henn might need to be a little bit more aggressive and get around.
Curious to keep our eyes on that. Meanwhile, checking in here with the fight for what is P9 outright, but features majority AM drivers. Graham Smith there, currently running 3rd in the class behind Dylan O'Shea, but O'Shea's about 5 seconds up the road. And then it's Richard Brookfield just in behind to battle with Smith. And then Alan Holgerson's the odd pro out at this point amongst this group here. And then Phil Audie bringing up the rear of the group here. 9th to 12th on the road outright as things stand.
Holgerson did get his car fixed at that pit stop, so he's got rear glass again, and also a lot of scrapes down the side. So I wonder how much speed he was missing and how much he's going to get back.
Well, we'll see here. The Merc at the front of the group is the one that's down on engine power. Everything else here in the train operating at maximum capacity. Brookfield gets close on the brakes, but not quite able to make it work here off of the turn 6 hairpin at Hockenheim. So yeah, Smith carries on here, but yeah, the gaps are approaching 6 seconds to Dylan O'Shea up the road. And well, unless O'Shea is 1 lap short for Graham Smith here on fuel, I think this could be one of those things again, championship, the discussion of the championship here for the AM class, looking to be definitely in O'Shea's favour.
The funny thing is, it's only the pro cars that stopped a bit short. I've looked up and down your top 5 in the AM class, and all of them are in lockstep on strategy. Well, look, Fitt Luke Fit did 10, but then he only did 6 at the start. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's the oddball out, whereas we had 7 and 9 for the rest of the pros. You're not wrong. It's going to be interesting here. We've got this split strategy on exactly how many laps and therefore stops and leaders you need to take here as we jump on board with the man in third, Christopher Hen, leader of those on that 7+10 strategy so far. Wardy covers off the inside of turn 6. Oh, a bit too deep from Christopher Hen. Not able to take full advantage of the compromised entry to the corner there for Wardy there, but he's going to look for the, it's going to be the racing line down under brakes into turn 8, but if he can crisscross here, no, Wardy's able to pull it up and set himself up for a more natural run through turn number 10 here. So they're going at it, these two. I mean, the more they keep this up, this will allow Lachlan Capel to inch on into this fight here. And well, if that happens, that will just give him a chance to make some gains here. But of course, crucially, won't be enough to turn the championship tide amongst the pro class, given it is that two-way fight between Capel and Kobe Williams. Just down, well, behind him, I should say, but the gap between Capel and Williams looking pretty handy in Lachlan's favour at this stage, but we'll certainly need more than just a gap on the road at this point to change things there.
Yeah, between those two, it does look pretty good for Capel. Got a bit of time on Kobe Williams, got an extra lap of fuel on Kobe Williams, and starting to catch these two as they begin to battle each other. It was a little bit of a late move in defence in my mind from Timothy Yorty. He saw Hen looking and then decided to, break down the middle of the road. Once again, Hen looking, but a lot earlier defending the inside from Orty this time.
Yeah, they're close here on the exit of turn 6. See here what the run off the corner is looking like for these two. Down through the kink here at turn 7 they come, and line astern into turn 8. But angling in on the brakes there was Audi. Just compromises the cornering speed a little bit there for the number 53 Ferrari ahead of that number 60 Lamborghini. Meanwhile, while that was happening, unfortunately a black flag for Adam Jepson in the 525 BMW. Now, having served that, is down in 21st, unfortunately for him. But, well, we'll tune out of the battle for P2, David, for a second, because here's that scrap for 9th on 12th here continuing. And, well, they're still certainly busy. Meanwhile, trouble for Luke Fitz somewhere on track in the 151. Oh, he's gone off at turn 12.
Has he found the wall? Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, he has. Super loose on the way in.
And mechanical black flag, he's gone to the pits to clean that one up. His strategy was at risk. He is now committed to a full stopper. With that one there, grabs the grass on the way under brakes, David, unfortunately, and nose first into the tyre bundle through the gravel on the far side of the turn.
Even gets a little bit of, overshoots the pit box. Even gets a little bit of air coming off the banking of the hairpin there as well. So that elevates
O'Shea to the class lead. Yep, pardon me.
Yeah, and Graham Smith and Richard Brookfield here to 2nd and 3rd. Holgerson does look like he's picked up a bit of speed since his repairs, but still stuck sort of amongst these guys.
It is true. So, yeah, no decisive moves from Holgerson despite his qualifying pace. He's down 6 spots from where he qualified in this one so far tonight. So, clearly just not quite getting what he would like out of the car, it would suggest at this point. But look, we'll see how it plays out here as they make their way down into Mercedes Arena this time.
I'm getting 38 predicted laps again.
Let's see here. Let's go back to the race leader. I've got 14 across the line now as we start lap 24. So, that says 36. So I've got 37. If it goes to 38, then even the guys here who are out here and have done the 7 and the 10, they're going to need to find a lap somewhere to avoid a 4th stop magically. I think it's going to come down to the wire. I'll be very curious to see which of us has got the right information coming out of our timing software. Oh, Brookfield around to the exit of turn 1. Just avoided by Holgerson, and Phil Audie not too far behind as well, having to take evasive maneuvers, but well done to them both. We'll check it out on the replay from Virtual Racing School, and unfortunately, mid-engine car snapping loose here through that loaded turn 1 here, David.
Yeah, car gets unsettled and it bounces a little bit too much and loses itself. So it's all good, all good. It's just too much curb right in the middle, isn't it? It's not the exit curb. It's not loose until the car just bounces across that sausage. Just a little greedy, a little too much of it.
That's an unfortunate mistake there from Brookfield. Has been looking pretty solid in this race so far today. Just outside, well, in fact, pardon me, was just pressuring there inside the back of the top 10, but now has to settle for P12 on the road at the moment, and in a bit of no man's land when it comes to a place on the road. Race leader comes around in the last turn once again. 136.5, personal best in the final sector as well. Just a discussion here about, are they paying attention to the time? Are they paying attention to the calculated laps at that point?
And if they are, who's in the best position? I feel like it could be Christopher Henn and Alan Holgerson.
Yeah, Hen, Capel, and Levin, your top 3 on that extended strategy. O'Shea maybe as well, but his stationary time in the pit box suggests he may either got the luckiest bit of refuel time, or he has underfueled by a single lap, potentially, and therefore at risk of...
Based on their track position, you know, Christopher Henn spent this whole, like, who could theoretically pull, 11 out? And Henn spent this whole stint in 3rd place, up behind Timothy Audie. Holgerson spent this whole stint sort of in and amongst the traffic there with pace that suggests he should have been able to get around them, but hasn't.
That's true,
second
yes.
and third right here, and I'm saying Henn has spent this entire stint, 8 laps to this point, about this far back off of Tim Audie.
The question is, I'm not hearing any fuel saving at this particular point, and I don't think I've heard all that much at any point prior. So that will be important to note, as in fact, how about that? 9 laps into the stint, Timothy Audie comes to the lane. There is no way now, surely, he makes
No, there's no
from
planet
here.
where that's a 3 stop. No, none at all.
That is his 3rd stop there, and he'd have to somehow now miraculously pull a 12-lapper out of the box. So Audie throws, or one of the Audies, I should say, flies the white flag, it seems. And feels like a bit of a strategic blunder there for Audie, but I guess we'll see about that one there. Almost certainly now committing to a short stop final late in the race as he will head down the timing chart. So now Hen released. Gap to Joshua Fit up ahead is 3.6 seconds. Does he chew into that gap, or does he keep running his times here to manage a fuel number? Well, slightly faster than your race leader last time around, but we also expect the race leader to pit here in a moment's time. Meanwhile, just seeing black flags come up for Aaron Raccanello in the 247. A car there parked at the side of the track. That will be Ben Pollock in the 86 BMW. Thankfully, he is well clear of the top 2. But let's see here. Your race leader has been out ahead on his own here as he comes into the final couple of turns. David, surely, having done a 10-lap stint, and now coming to the end of his second 10-lap stint, he will pull into the pits here.
Yep, definitely angling for that now.
As Hen, carries on. Going to get that 10th lap on the board. So, Hen will come around and will pit with around 15 minutes and 20 seconds, 15 on the board. Capel's gone through, Brandon Levin, the 3rd driver through on that strategy. Kobe Williams pits as well. Graham Smith comes to the lane. Oh no, that seems like a strategic blunder from Graham Smith. That puts him at a bit of an arm's reach here to make this one work. I think Kobe Williams also having to pit, but crucially there for Smith, a 9-lap stint. He went with everyone else. That did 10 laps in the second stint, but has suddenly come up short on this one here as we just check in with this group here. Racanello follows Hilton Booth into the lane. It will release Nick Wood for a lap, and Nick Wood is going to get his 10th lap on the board starting now. Now 3 drivers with black flags. Dale Carpenter, having not returned to the circuit, has an outstanding black flag. But Racanello and Simon Dwyer on the list of drivers with black flags as well. We check in with your race leader, David, as he brings it to the final couple of turns, and my timing says 10 to go. Or will be 10 to go when he comes across the line this time. So this, I think, will be important here for the race. But the pace in the final stint here is going to be important, of course. Can someone
Mine
like...
changed its mind when Josh Fitt pitted, which would suggest that the 6 or 8 seconds that there was between Fitt as the leader and Hen is about where, you know, it was give or take 8 seconds whether we were going to go an extra lap or not.
Okay, I've got to keep my eyes on my timing then, as well as Hen's down the end of the lane, filling up, and away for Christopher Hen. Joshua Fitt will retake the race lead, and yep, my timing just spiked up to 11 laps.
It's on a real knife edge. We're going to see either the leader takes the white flag with, you know, 3 seconds left on the clock, or, you know, with a minute 34 on the clock. So it is really going to depend.
Oh, wait, no, mine's corrected back once again to 9.6.
It's really going to depend how fast Christopher Hen goes, because Josh Fitt, well, actually, no, it could depend on how fast Josh Fitt goes if he has to pit coming to the white flag, because at that point, based on his track position and speed, when the white and the checkered get thrown will have already been decided before he makes his final stop.
It will. Yeah, so, oh man, it's going to be a real head scratcher to decipher here. The gap is 2.3 seconds between them. Meanwhile, in the pit cycle, Kobe Williams has dropped to P6. Brandon Levin gets an undercut on him here at this, what should be Levin's final stop for certain. So, Williams to back a spot. My timing is updated once this pit cycle got completed, but that underway. It's back to 9 laps to go. But for a second, it did say 11 to go at the pit exit. As we check out here, Alan Holgerson and Graham Smith fighting over 10th on the road. Holgerson getting through on Smith with the extra lap stint for the Ferrari 79
big drama
machine there.
April.
Timothy Audi.
Yeah. Audi having a problem through the final corner. Lachlan Capel almost collecting him. Both of them losing bulk time, but I don't think picking up any damage. It all starts with the Ferrari of Audi here.
Let's have a look at it here then. Through the fast couple of turns, Capel on the gearbox of that Ferrari, and then up and over the sausage curb. That's all fine. Final turn. Oh, just a little too wide, and eesh! Looks like the front end of Capel's car definitely picking up a little something. We're going to stay on this sideways looking shot here as he has to flick hard right to avoid veering into the rear, and apparently this isn't quite how the camera was meant to be on board with Capel instead. Here, we'll get another look at it here. So yeah, just has to check up. Does Audi to avoid that one there, and well, swings the nose away. I wonder if Capel's been trying to manage his car here and not pick up an incident point. Try and get the bonus. That might give him a chance at the maximising his opportunities here, because remember,
as it runs right now, Capel's got a couple cars between himself and Kobe Williams as well, and there's going to be a huge question mark over the last 2 or 3 laps of this race as well.
If we get the 11th lap, I'm certain everyone has to pit, which therefore will not hurt those drivers who have done that 9 lap.
Mine's back to say 38 total.
Oh boy, mine's come back to 37. It's pretty confidently saying we're going to have a 37 lap race at this point. I guess we'll have to see. Gaps holding it around 2.2, 2.3 seconds between your race leaders. So yeah, it's going to be all down to what the timing.
Or 38. I think Christopher Hen is still in the much better position here. Only 2 seconds off the leader. Fitz got to make this 11 laps to a stint to get to the end of a 37 lap race. Christopher Hen's got to make this 11 laps to this stint to get to the end of a 38 lap race. If both of them, in a situation where both of them need to hit again, Christopher Hen's still in a 1 lap better fuel position and only 2 seconds behind on the road. In a 37 lap race situation, Fitz got to pit again and Hen doesn't, and therefore is in a much better situation. So I still like this for Christopher Hen. However the cards may fall on the race distance, he's in the best position to maximize it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. If I can trust my timing at my end, and the lap time's currently 37.0 from your race leader, in fact, your top 3 all doing 37s, or thereabouts at the moment, suggests to me that, well, I'd like to think at this point it's got a pretty confident idea of what's going on for this one here. And given, they've come across the line there, and we've got just under 10 minutes. Well, I had 10 minutes to go at the line, pretty much. 10 minutes, you're doing 100-second laps. Should have run the numbers there on division there. And, 7 laps all seems to check out. It's not 100-second laps, it's more like 97-second laps. So on and so forth. But, yeah, I think everything's lining up in terms of lap time and stuff here.
You know what I can tell you with 100% certainty?
Pray tell, what do you have for me with certainty at this point?
It's getting quite dark out on track, and that means the McLarens are a beautiful sight to behold.
That is true. Unfortunately, we are down to two McLarens.
2, yeah, Hilton Booth and Simon Dwyer, right? I think that's the
that is correct, yes. The 412 with Hilton Booth currently running in 17th, and the 256 back in 23rd. So indeed, let's enjoy some fireball cam, and there it is. Through turn 1. I wish I could tell you who we're on board with at the moment, but alas, I couldn't until I was informed that it's Hilton Booth coming into turn 2. I probably should have checked this for myself, but there you go. The flamethrowers in action and on proud display there for Booth. You can see here he's actually done a good job this race, David. Picked up 4 places on the road outright at this point. Currently running in 17th, although 11 seconds behind the next battle pack of Sam Lehman and Ben Jeffrey. Well, I think Ben Jeffrey owes us a pit stop because he's off sequence as well from everyone else for good measure. Yes, he is off sequence to the tune of about 3 laps. So Jeffrey will tumble down the order and be one of the drivers who definitely do a 4-stop race today.
Luke Fitt now pits from second in the AM class.
Unfortunately for him, the incident down at turn 12, damaging his car, forcing an early pit stop out of him. Sees him have to step back down the order. So he will come back out of the pits in 12th on the road and 5th in class, just ahead of Richard Brookfield, actually, at this point in time. As I see, Graham Smith just lost a spot to Phil Audi down the back straight away. Yes, he has. The Audi able to go around the outside with the slipstream up the straight and take the spot there on the exit of turn 6 hairpin, as we'll check it out on the replay from Virtual Racing School, David.
Yeah, it's a good run from Audi. Smith goes to the defensive line early, which actually becomes the long run around the sweeping left-hander. And then Smith's in his own world of fuel troubles as well. So he let that one go pretty early.
Yep, down on engine power for this round in the Mercedes. We think 1 lap short on fuel. Unfortunately for him, it all kind of compounds there when the car behind is coming at you with a head full of steam. And so makes the pass pretty easily. And it looks like Phil Audi looking a fair bit more comfortable at this phase of the race. Audi has a couple of car lengths between him and Smith behind as they make their way down to turn 1 at this point of the race.
So I'm back to a 37 lap race, which still sees Joshua Fitt in trouble, but it's a good sign if you're Christopher Henn, Lachlan Capel or Brandon Levin. Still got Tim Auty in trouble, Kobe Williams in trouble, Dylan O'Shea. It's good for him. He's quite comfortable in the AM class lead at the moment, at least on strategy.
Yep, Jordan J. Kennedy still has 38 laps here to go. I'm going to take a moment here, Dave, just run the championship numbers again for the pro class, because that's the one that's really up in the air. It seemed now that, unfortunately, Graham Smith has put himself on the wrong side of the strategic options.
Yeah, his odds of a come from behind in the AM class is down, but a come from behind situation in the championship for Lachlan Capel is still on the cards. Up front in the overall, though, I think Fitt has realised the dilemma he's in on the strategy, losing quite a bit of time to Christopher Henn. But I think, are you too late if you're aiming for 11 laps now?
I mean,
this could be big for Capel.
He sacrificed himself about a second and a half there. And a bit of a roll off the throttle there for Joshua Fitt here. I mean, all it does is it compresses the field up here at the front. Drags Christopher Henn, drags Lachlan Capel up to the rear end of this race. And it gives Timothy Audi, who, well, Audi, unfortunately, we're certain here is condemned to being at least 2 laps short, maybe even 3 laps short, because Audi in the 53 Ferrari is already on his 9th lap of a stint. Does Audi only have the confidence in that Ferrari to do 9-lap stints and therefore has to do a short fill here with what my timing says is still 3 laps to go? But we'll see here how much pace does Fitt continue to bleed out of this car, because he's now really rolling it into the turns. Christopher Henn, if he can get by here, put the foot down and really condemn these guys to being at least 1 lap short of fuel. He's all over the back of the simrigs.com DPR Audi now here to the final turn. 3 minutes 30 on the screen. They're doing 137 still. Trying to run the numbers in my head. Yeah, we've still got 3 to go here. That's not changing, I don't think. Even with a pit stop for your race leaders. And now it's all about sure, when does Christopher Henn strike?
Yeah, I'm with you on that now. Now that it's 3 and I can do the numbers in my head, and Jay Kennedy's also had a look at it, that for Christopher Henn, he is not going to need to stop. He will therefore stay out. That'll make it 3 more laps, and he's right on Joshua Fitt here, right in the slipstream. Fitt's going to roll out super early, and it gives a really easy opportunity for Christopher Henn to get down the inside, kind of park it, and he's through. Capel will be next to try to line this one up. Henn through the lead. His fuel is good. Fitt is coasting it and saving it and losing time, big time.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, 8. Well, a development on the Pro Championship front. I actually just went and bothered to count how many guys are in this race. And unfortunately, bad news for Lachlan Capel. There's only 8 pro drivers currently in the server. And at best, if Lachlan has got 0 incident points to his name and can get through to the race win, Kobe Williams only need finish 9th place or higher to maintain the Pro Class Championship here for season number 7. 9 is less than 8. And, well, I think I need not say any more on that front. And Timothy Audi is indeed going to be 2 laps short of the race. Gets a 10-lap stint out of it here. And indeed, why is my timing now saying that we've got 1.8 of a lap to go here. That doesn't...
Mine says the same too, but that just simply cannot be right. Your leaders crossed the line with plenty in hand, and there was nothing with the pit stops to really confuse them. So Auti of the Timothy variety back out just in front of Holgerson.
Yeah. Oh, careful. Lock and Capel almost gets the rear of Joshua Fit after a bit of a roll into the turn 6 hairpin here. P2 is assured for Capel. But I should have counted how many pros were in the session. And unfortunately for him, it's not what he needs to hear at this point. Even though all the pros, apart from Kobe Williams and Joshua Fit, are on the same strategy when it comes to fuel. Audi's dropped from, I think it was P5 or P4 down to P7. The gaps have spread out such that there isn't much. Yikes!
This massive lift and coast and the closing speed difference has been catching out Lachlan Capel. He's like, oh, I can't pass Joshua Fit here. Oh, wait, maybe I can. So Fit is committing now.
Oh, hello.
To trying to do 11 laps. So we'll see how much this last lap hurts him. Barney's got the white flag out at the line. Christopher Henn, your race leader. All this back and forth between Capel and Fitz bought him a little bit of time to maybe be able to bring a win
he
home.
can do it too. Now this could be interesting here because while unfortunately the championship is decided, they've both done enough laps and there's not enough pro drivers here tonight to change the result. Williams could drop to the back of the field if he falls a lap short on fuel here. I would think at this point he knows his fuel numbers. He knows what to do to make it work. Graham Smith does a 10-lap run and he falls 1 lap short. The championship in AM class is therefore handed to Dylan O'Shea. Meanwhile, how's this? Joshua Fit up the inside of the turn 6 hairpin here is going to pressure for this position. Back into P2 and Capel with the detuned BMW. Not able to contest out of the corner, but he swings back out the outside of turn 7 for the apex at turn 8. Does Fit have the fuel left in his car to fight this? I mean, we're not certain. As round the outside of turn 10, Fit's pinched a bit there and will lose the spot as they come out of the corner. On board with Brandon Levin, who's closing this lot down rapidly here. What is the state of Fit's car in the final couple of turns?
Yeah, Fit coughs, he's going to lose that podium place. Christopher Henn is doing everything right. Lachlan Capel took him a bit to get through, but looks to be safe.
1 turn to go for your race leader. Sat in P2, P3 for a while there. Plays the fuel strategy card to a T. It is indeed going to be Christopher Henn to the lead. Joshua Fit hangs on to P3. Doesn't cough his way across the line. But the man who walks away, also making an 11-lap stint work there tonight. In fact, your 2 class champions across the line, pro followed by AM. Kobe Williams makes himself the 7th season champion here in the Simrigs.com Oz Pro-Am Sim Series in that pro division. And he's followed across the line by Dylan O'Shea, taking another class race win here tonight in that number 19 machine to earn himself the AM Championship win. Meanwhile, Sean Lacey and Sam Lehman are at it, fighting over 14th on the road here as they come through the final couple of turns. Going to be close here between these two here. Will they finish as they started this lap? It looks like they will, with Lacey ahead. Indeed, Lacey actually having to make a splash and dash there. Will stay ahead, though, of Lehman to the end of the race.
One of my favourite little quirks here, Aaron Racanello was in pit lane when your leaders came across and took the checkered flag. And then he exited pit lane behind those leaders, but didn't see the checkered flag, so still has 1 more lap to go, having had to pass Brandon Levin, Joshua Fit, Lachlan Capel, and Christopher Henn in the first sector as they were on their cool-down lap. So he'll be another one of those drivers who ends up kind of scored 2 minutes behind the leader, but still on the lead lap, because he passed the white flag in the pit lane. The leaders took the checkered flag, and he was still in the pit lane, and they got around him.
Well, there you go. So let's walk you through the results here tonight in the Pro-Am from Hockenheim. And Christopher Henn walks away your race winner after doing a nice job there to settle into fuel saving and the preferred strategy here tonight. It seems Headlock and Capable, who did just about all he could do for his championship hopes, and unfortunately it wouldn't be enough tonight. Joshua Fitt, after leading that race there, had to back it off there to make it 11-lap stint work at the end. We'll settle for P3 tonight. Brandon Levin, just see there, only 4/10 back in P4, and then a bit of a golf back to Kobe Williams in P5, but also saving fuel to the end of the race to make that one work there in the 994 BMW, but he did exactly what he needed to do this evening to walk away as your pro class champion for season number 7. Likewise, Dylan O'Shea works the strategy just right for himself as well and comes away there with the class win to solidify his championship win in the AM class. Timothy Audie, unfortunately for him, a couple of moments could have been fighting over P2 there at the end, but didn't get the fuel numbers right tonight there. We'll have to settle for 7th outright and 6th in class. Owen Holgerson, likewise, good qualifying pace, but definitely didn't quite have it right there in the race run. Has to settle for 8th place on the road. Phil Audie and Daniel Cheney next across the line, rounding out our top 10 outright and also taking podium spots here in the AM class this evening.
Then on our overall standings, Luke Fitt, Richard Brookfield, Graham Smith, strategy not quite working out for him as he might have hoped. Sean Lacey, Sam Lehman, Nick Wood, Adam Jepson, Hilton Booth in the McLaren, Aaron Raccanello there with the pit exit. Same for Ben Jeffrey as well, though, I think. And there's a few drivers who really struggled with the length of that race and the fuel as it was. Nick Bottrell scored on the lead lap 2, and Ben Pollock 1 lap down, Simon Dwyer 2 laps down, and retirements from our last 2.
Indeed. So those are your 25 drivers to complete the race tonight. We'll quickly chat to the race winner, Christopher Henn, in the pro class. Well, came on strong in the back half of the season, Chris, and looks like it came together quite nicely here for the final round of the season tonight. Well done.
Thank you very much. It was a really good race. The balance of performances certainly played into my racing a little bit. I had a bit of a shocker last week, just things didn't fall away, a couple of accidents, but nice to have some form again this week and have a good run.
Yeah, I mean, obviously in that opening phase there, obviously not quite at the front of the field early on, but tucked into the top couple of cars there. You had Josh Fitt obviously running away a little bit with that little gap he had, but came in 1 lap early, it seemed, in the opening stint of the race, which put us a little bit, putting question marks on where he'd end up tonight. And then those last couple of laps there after you were able to clear Tim Audie, just reeling him in, and then he had to really fuel save it there, which basically gave you a bit of easy pickings there in terms of a couple of laps to work your way past him at the end of the race.
Definitely. I was surprised as probably you guys were when I saw both Tim and Josh peel off a lap earlier than I was planning to, because I knew I was super tight for fuel. I was trying to save a little bit through the race because I thought I was going to be a couple of litres short. So as soon as I saw that, I thought that might help my chances. But then I had a slight overshoot in the second pit stop and missed my pit bay. So lost a couple of seconds there and thought I'd shot myself. But managed to work back and got away with it.
Yeah, well, I guess, for yourself, unfortunately, our focus obviously was on the championship, the fights at the very front of the field. Been a bit of an up and down season for you, I think. Would you be fair in saying, I mean, coming home, you were 6th on the road tonight. You will elevate yourself to at least 5th. In fact, looking at Joshua Fitt's finishing position of P3, I believe it means we should wrap yourself up here 5th in the championship tonight, if I'm looking at things correctly here, given that P3 for Josh Fitt should keep him ahead of you. I guess thoughts on the season in general for you this season. It sort of feels like, would you agree with the description of it? Sort of maybe a rough opening start and then a better second half.
Definitely. I was new to the Lambo this season, but thought it suited me. But things certainly didn't fall my way. I think my 1 lap pace hurt me a little bit, so I was just qualifying kind of in that mid pack, just getting stuck in other accidents and things that really wasn't helping my cause, and just couldn't really do anything with that, and just was in kind of just the unlucky victim of someone spins in front of you and comes back across the road, and you're the poor one that's just happens to be there. So definitely had a bit of that in the early part of the season. Definitely found a bit of pace in the car as the season went on as well. Partly just getting used to the car, partly with the bop, with the Merc and the BMW. As I said, helped and worked in my favour as well. But yeah, definitely got to have a bit more consistency. Sometimes it's a bit of bad luck, but sometimes you just got to be a little bit more conservative when you're down the field a bit and just hang back a little bit and not try and take too many chances too early. And I think that's probably a good takeaway for me for next season.
Well, good things to note there, I think, indeed. Before we let you go, Chris, who do you want to thank tonight for your result?
Yeah, just like to thank obviously Sam and the whole league, you guys for great commentary through the whole season. It's fantastic that you get to come in and put us up on stage, so to speak. So that's great. And thanks to the ILEC boys, and looking forward to another season.
Well, there we are. Christopher Hand, race winner here in the season finale, Hockenheim Enduro. Well done to him. Now, we'll quickly bring in, I think, how about we bring in both of our two guys remaining, in fact, make it all three of them in the interviews box, because, well, it's our top two in the Pro Class Championship, along with series admin Sam Lehman. Well, David, I'll hand over to you, and I think let's chat to our champion for the Pro Class night, that 994, Mr. Kobe Williams.
First of all, it's got to be congratulations there, Kobe. You've had some pretty dominant runs throughout this championship. Today, maybe not one of them, but the points at the end are what matter.
Yeah, thank you. Throughout the season, just tried to be as consistent as possible with results. There's a few little mistakes, but that at the end, the points were in my hands. So yeah.
Got to make hay while the sun shines. Enduro round to close it out here at Hockenheim, and the fuel was a big question.
Yeah, I messed up my strategy a little bit. Thought I'd take a little bit less at the first stint, which obviously didn't work out. So I had to do a fair bit of fuel saving towards the end there, but I got to the end, so that's all that matters, I think.
Well, congratulations to you once again, Season 7 champion.
Yeah, sweet, thank you.
Quickly chatting now with the second place driver in the Pro Class for the championship, but also second on the road tonight as well, the number 18, Lachlan Capel. Well, Lockie, unfortunately, did what you could out there tonight on the road to try and reel in the gap there to Kobe, but well, sometimes there's only so much you can do when the other guy's having a pretty good day as well.
Yeah, look, I looked at the championship. I didn't think it was actually possible for me to win it unless he didn't race at all. But I had a go. Second place, I'm pretty happy about it considering the amount of struggles I had in practice trying to figure out how to drive a car with not much power in it. But we got it done. We was able to get second place after a decent fuel strategy that hit today.
Yeah, fuel numbers up here for us watching it all unfold tonight. We sort of a couple of question marks and a couple of drivers up and down the field. It was looking pretty tight there on fuel. Is there any point in the race where you sort of got to a point where you felt comfortable with the fuel strategy on your end?
Yeah, my plan was initially just to go balls to the wall and see what happens, and it played out because I was able to go long pretty much every stint by just running out the fuel tank pretty easily, and I actually was able to underfuel the car slightly at the end by about 800 mil or so it wasn't too much, but other cars around me pitting a lap too early, Timothy Audi there pitting 2 laps early and then having to pit again later on the race screwed up his fuel strategy a little bit, but surprised that not many people went long or just drained out the fuel tank, I guess trying the undercut strap, but ultimately just sometimes draining out the fuel tank works, so I'm pretty happy with being able to not have to fuel save at least once in a race and see where my pace lies compared to other people.
Good points there indeed, and well, not quite the way I guess you'd hoped, given Defence still had the Season 6 championship in that last season earlier on this year, and not quite able to defend it here tonight. But I think all in all, good competition in this season once again from Kobe in this second half of the season. Hopefully not too disappointed to be able to walk away from second place tonight at the end of it all.
Definitely not disappointed at all. I'm actually pretty happy about my result considering the first 3 rounds of the league was absolutely atrocious, choosing a car that was slow, getting taken out multiple times in 2 races, having to pick up the championship from basically 7th place. I'm extremely happy to be able to walk away with 2nd and being actually somewhat close to Kobe after all that happens at the start of the season. I'm usually, I don't know what's at the start of the season, just maybe new season vibes or something, but I just can't ever get any good pace at the start. But once we hit halfway mark, I'm absolutely flying. So seems to be a trend with me, but, you know, still quite happy with finishing 2nd to Kobe, especially how he was just extremely consistent the entire season through. And basically from round 1, I knew I didn't really have much of a chance, especially with the issues that I had.
Well, it is what it is, and you have to be able to put the package together all season long. Before we let you go, Lockie, who do you want to thank tonight for the result, both with the race and I guess also with the championship?
I'd just like to thank Dropbear Motorsport and all their sponsors of Cozy Engineering Solutions, Sam Blacklock Media, Hybrid Racing Solutions, and Revolution Race Gear. I'd also like to thank SimSpeed and everyone for putting on the show and taking up AusPass in Season 7, and Jay, David, and Dan for all the commentary and that. And also like to thank my dad and Computer Technology Corporation for sponsoring the series and me throughout my racing journey, and as well as Sam for putting on this league that I've been dedicating my past year to ever since I got a rig back in March 2021. So couldn't be prouder to do it with him in this league.
Well, there we are. 2nd place for Lock and Capel, both on track tonight and in the championship. And as we mentioned there, the last driver that we're going to speak to is also the series admin here at AusPass. Sam Lehman, another solid season from you guys here, I think you'd have to say. I hope that's what it felt like for you guys in the admin side of things as well. Any thoughts and things you'd like to share here tonight as we wrap things up?
Yeah, thanks, guys. And it's been another awesome season. Some good battles on track, and just tight champion. I mean, Kobe ran away with the pros a little bit at the end, but the AM battle was won tonight, and such a great season to be a part of again. As always, thanks to the sponsors, simrigs.com, Echuca Toyota, CTC or Computer Technology Corporation, Phoenix Smokers, and Index Designs. Please check out our sponsors; they make the series possible. So, but yeah, look, I mean, going into next season, I guess there's a couple of things to announce. Firstly, AusPass just turned 2. We are 2 years old now. Would you believe? First round was 5th to the 8th. 22, so 2020, 58th 20, so we're now 2 years old, and we'll be going into our 3rd year soon. I think there are a couple of things this season. It's really obvious that our current class allocation system with the qualifying we're probably starting to outgrow that a little bit. So for next season, we'll be going back through. We've got 2 years worth of data of how good people are. So we're going to be looking at implementing some driver rating systems to make our classes a little bit cleaner. Obviously, a couple of the guys in Pass 2, Matt Bowler, Seb Flock, those guys should be up rating in the Pro-Am. So we'll be making sure that there's systems in place to make sure those guys get to where they're meant to be in future.
Good points to make there indeed. Certainly it's been a system that's worked for you guys quite well, but I think good points to make there about the new drivers sort of testing the systems as they are, I guess, best way to put it. David, anything from you before we wrap things up for Sam here tonight?
No, a very, very entertaining championship. A lot of strategy options across the different formats of the racing, and some of the wildcard rounds, of course, will stick with us in our memory as well.
Yeah, wildcards are always something that we try and use to spice things up, and bringing back Monza this season was a good one. That was a great wildcard we did the first time. But to all the other people in our Discord and members of the championship, please, if you've got an idea for a wildcard, drop your suggestions in the suggestion box thread, because we always love to hear what you've got to say. And my ideas are good for the championship, but everyone's ideas make the championship even better. So, yeah, give us your feedback.
Well, there we go. Sam Lehman, series admin here for AusPass, wrapping up season number 7 here tonight. And, well, not quite sure. We'll hopefully have news about what comes next for season number 8. By the sound of things, plans are certainly in motion, but make sure you're tuning in to the AusPass socials and the AusPass Discord. Make sure you get your information from Sam and the team there as soon as it's available. On behalf of SimSpeed, myself, Daniel Yeaman, David Haynes with me in the commentary box tonight, and for this season, along with Jay Kennedy on production, a big thank you to everyone for joining us, whether it be tonight, whether it be other races here previously. And, well, it's been great to be able to bring this second series here with SimSpeed to you on a Thursday night once again. From us here at SimSpeed as well, thanks to all the sponsors that make the series possible. Simrigs.com as the title partner once again, along with Phoenix Smokers, Computer Technology Corporation, Echuca Toyota, and Index Designs. Thank you to them for making this series possible. Thank you all for watching once more, and that'll do us for here tonight. We'll be back sometime soon. There's plenty of action here on SimSpeed in the meantime. Sunday's, I believe, the next thing that's up there. But until then, thank you all very much for watching this one here tonight with us at AusPass. Bye for now, but not forever.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He got rid of the outside. Both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Section's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh, no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh, my God.
God, what?